hey, 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 hey. What's going on, chat? Welcome in. Gotta get funky real quick. What up? Hello, hello. Certain man in Russia long ago. He was big and strong, and his eyes were flaming gold. All right, enough of that. Hi, everybody. Hi, Arella. Hello, chat. Welcome in. Hello, hello. I'm testing out a new time. I wanted to test out 7. I wanted to see how 7 worked out for everybody. I know we got a lot of people from overseas, so I wanted to do it a little bit later so people could wake up and get their coffee in the morning, then come and see how everyone's doing. So I'm testing out 7. I'm gonna check and see what the view count's like, see if we got enough people in here, and then maybe we'll keep it at this time. I'm testing out a few things. Obviously, we got the new background again, so that's cool. We're gonna keep using this, I think, for a little bit. Here's what I want to ask you guys. Question of the day. What's the dumbest reason for a war you can think of? I'm going to ask you that during the PowerPoint again, and then I want you to answer me that. Don't answer right now. Don't answer right now. Stop typing. I know Joe and Moondog are typing their little fingers off. Don't tell me right now. But whenever I ask the question again on the PowerPoint, I want you guys to tell me, because I think it'd be very interesting. So, how'd you know? Because I know you. You've been following for almost 3 months. I know your little intricacies. Nope, too busy playing space UPS and shuffling cargo boxes. This guy. What does this guy do all day? This guy just... all he does is come in, say AAA, and pack boxes? What? This is why you have an F in class, Mr. Moondog. This is why. I'm only messing. All right, y'all. Well, welcome in. Another Sunday history lesson. I'm going to keep testing this out, see how this works. W Moondog, honestly. Yeah, I guess so. But, guys, welcome in. If you guys have not been to the channel before, I know there's might be a few new people. We've gained a lot of followers in the last few weeks. But for those of you who are new to the channel and do not know who I am, hello. My name is maxforgevt. I am a history teacher VTuber, and at times like today, on Sunday, I teach history lessons or do history lectures to my lovely students, which is you all. And we go through a certain subject lesson, go through and kind of cover that topic, watch a couple of videos beforehand, get us integrated into the topic, see what we're talking about so that everyone has a little baseline education on it. And then I go and I present my presentation to the class. At the end of that class, I ask for questions. I ask you guys some quiz topics, and we kind of go around and see what our sources are like for all these different things that we did. The last few weeks have been kind of tumultuous. I had a real time trying to determine what I wanted to cover this week. There's been a lot of things floating in my head. Last week, you know, we had the 24-hour stream. I was like, maybe I could do Chinese New Year history lesson. That didn't end up working because I got really tired and I just could not. I don't think I could have done a service to it. But I figured, since we have such weird things happening in the world right now, odd things going on with Greenland and Canada and the US and other places, I thought, what better time to cover than now? The strangest wars in history. What are these strangest reasons that people have gone to war or had battles decided? What are they? What happened? What sparked these conflicts? What really drove the point home? I'm not going to go super in depth with them, as there's a lot of them, but covering the basics, right? Who was involved with it? Where was it happening at? When did it happen? What was the main cause? Stuff like that, right? I don't want to get super in depth with it because there's so many wars out there that are like that. Obviously, all wars pretty bad, but there's some of these wars that are actually kind of funny. They don't really cause any harm to anybody, which is good. But I thought it would be kind of a funny thing to go through and check out. So, yeah, so we're going to do that. How long do classes normally last? Well, That's a good question. Anywhere between 2 to 3 hours, typically. It's a little bit longer than a normal history class would be in high school, at least for Americans. However, I try to splice some fun stuff in there with you guys. You know, try to go over and cover some things. But, you know, if you guys want shorter history lessons or you guys want longer form history lessons, please feel free to make a suggestion down below. Any and all suggestions do get listened to. I make content for you guys. I don't really need to do this. This is not like a main job for me. It's a side thing. So anything you guys want to learn, please feel free to offer up suggestions in the comments or whatever. Hi, man. And, you know, if you don't see something that you like being covered, or you want me to cover less of a certain region or more of another region, or you guys have something specific you want me to go through, please feel free to just ask. You know, there's a reason I have suggestions in the Discord. I have suggestions on the bottom of this channel. It's because of you guys, right? I do this content for you all so that you guys can learn a few things. If you guys are not interested in a certain topic, I don't want to cover it, right? Because if you guys are getting bored, you're turning out, you're tuning out, you're not going to learn anything, right? So I try to keep it a little bit upbeat. Try to keep it a little bit more mellow. Or sorry, not mellow, but a little more energetic whenever I'm teaching the history lessons. There is something I'm planning for in March with the coming 3D model that I can't talk about yet, but I think we might have something lined up for. So keep your eyes on the announcements page. Keep your eyes on the announcements. That's all I have to say. Just want to go ahead and say my hellos here. Hello to Sleepy as Tire. Hello to myself. Hello to Moondog. Hello to Average Joe. Hello to Irella Nearling. And hello to Van Beef. Welcome in. Welcome in. Thank you all very much for coming into the stream today. We are gonna get into it here in just a second. We're gonna do a tier list today too for the stupidest wars. My tier list is not complete, so I'm gonna take maybe like 10-15 minutes and finish that before we end stream. Excuse me, before we end our lesson. But that will be something that we have today. So I thought that might be a little bit more interesting than just listening to me yammer on for minutes at a time about nothing. So, and as I've told you before, typically what we do on the channel is we go on and we, oh, no, stop playing. Oh my God, I hate when it shit autoplays. We go on and we talk to, excuse me, not talk to, we show videos from certain individuals, and those individuals will get us into the topic that we're talking about. So I thought I would watch one of my favorite creators today, but I think we already did this. I am going to be covering the Emu War again, only slightly, a lot less though. It's not going to be the full 2-hour thing that we did last time, but it's going to be covered again. So just FYI for that. But trying to find where the video is. Give me 1 second. Is it this one? I think it's this one. We usually do about 10 to 20 minutes worth of video. So there's one video I want to watch from a YouTuber I really like, who does a lot of very simplified history lessons, which are very good. So we're going to watch his video over the War of the Bucket. And it's called the War of the Bucket because there was a bucket stolen from one of the belligerents in that war. So we're going to cover that. We're going to talk about that. We're going to watch that. And then, oh, I got to redeem Man of Many Faces and hats. Let's see. What should I wear? What should I wear? How about the Burger Royale hat? Perfect. Amazing. Strangest videos online gets the strangest hat I've ever had. There we go. How's that? Does that suit your fancy? Also, how's audio? How's audio right now? He's gonna say the thing. No, I'm not gonna say the thing. No, no, Joe. No. Audio sounds good. Okay, cool. What else? What else was I gonna ask? You guys want different music, by the way? I've been playing like this Dark Academia soundtrack on the background for like forever. I don't know if it's like putting you guys to sleep or if you like it or if you want me to put like other songs on. My only fear of if I don't have like these songs on is that my audio is going to get stolen from me, so I can't put up anything. Heavy metal? You want heavy metal music playing in the background while we're covering history? I mean, I can do that. Okay, this is heavy. We have any heavy metal stream music at Doom's Gate? I don't think I can play that. Stream friendly. Stream friendly bangers. All right, here we go. I know this doesn't sound like metal. That is definitely not metal. I don't know what this is, but I kind of like it. I'm gonna listen to this. Excuse me. I don't know what this is, but it's kind of funky, right? I like it. What do you guys think? Good or no? If not, it's okay. Anyways, let's go find our video. Let's put that up. And then we will go ahead and get started here. Hang on 1 second. We got a thing to do. I have to pull this all up on one side. Oh. 1 second, guys. Okay, here we go. Let me pause our new funky music for a second. I'm gonna pull up the window capture and make sure that it's on the right window, and then we will watch this video by Mr. History Oversimplified. Excuse me, Oversimplified History, I think is his name. Yeah, just Oversimplified. He does history videos. I like his content a lot. I wanted to share the video with you guys. So we're gonna watch this. I'm gonna move my ass out of the way, and then we are going to do this, and I'm gonna do this, and I'm gonna do this, and I'm gonna do this. Sounds good to me. I think this is Pinar music. Is that Pinar music? Is that what that is? Are you sure about that? All right, here we go. Is this showing?
Hey.
That is not showing. Why is that not showing? Boom. Ah, there we go. All right, y'all. Here we go.
You. Yeah. You. New merch available now, including a
get that merch out of here.
And some bad news. Did you say good news and glad news? No. I said good news and bad news. Very bad news. Word on the street is there's going to be a horrible plague coming in from Central Asia in the next couple decades that'll wipe out half of Europe. What's the good news? Do you have a cure? Please say you have a cure. No. Even better. The good news is we've got a new bucket for this city well. To understand the War of the Bucket, we first need to talk about this guy. He's the man with the plan.
That's
the host
the Pope.
with the most. He's holy, lowly. He eats ravioli with the white cassock, matching pellegrina, and the most tasteful of fringed fascias.
Ooh.
Come on, y'all know who I'm talking about. It's the Pope, the head of the largest religious organization in the world. But what if I told you he wasn't always the big bad boy powerhouse he's often thought as today? That's right. Throughout history, the papacy often found itself forced to wrestle against adversity and opposition to retain its authority. The earliest popes, for example, suffered under the brutal persecution of the Roman Empire, and many ended up martyred, such as Pope Clement I, who was ostensibly thrown into the sea with an anchor around his neck. On the bright side, however, he's now the patron saint of fishermen.
That's true.
After persecution finally ended, the Pope still found himself being heavily controlled by secular kings and nobility. For over 2 centuries, the Byzantine...
So, fun fact, you guys remember when we covered Nero? He's talking about that time. That's a big part of that. So, like, having the martyrs, like, put into a cross upside down. That's one of the things that they did. It's a lot of saints are like that now. So, if you see anybody who's like a saint that's before like probably 500 AD, I'd say that's typically a saint that was killed by the Romans. Actually, maybe 400 AD, but they're very rare.
Byzantine emperor basically decided who could become pope. Then came a real low point during what has been called the Dark Age, a period where noble
I don't like that term. It's a very bad term. The period of antiquity is a better term.
women controlled the Pope through, how should I put this? Feminine charm. It was around here that one infamous Pope, John XII, took office. This bad boy would hold, how should I put this? Naughty no-clothes parties in the Lateran Palace. And apparently, this would even happen. Come on, Zeus. Give me a 6. Did I say Zeus? I meant Thor.
Bruh.
Ra, the Egyptian sun god?
Bruh.
Dang it, who is it we worship? Perhaps you should read this, Your Holiness. In the beginning, God created the heavens and the earth? Wow, this is wild. Pope John XII eventually died exactly how he lived, caught in the act by an irate husband who picked the Pope up and threw him out the window.
When he
The
fell.
point I'm trying to make here is that often the Pope was a very weak...
I can't remember if that was him that did that, or it was the Edict of Worms that I'm thinking of actually, but somebody got thrown out of a window onto a pile of manure. It was very funny.
Incorruptible figure, and was regularly used and controlled by secular leaders as a tool to increase their own power and influence. And there was certainly an element of that in the year 800, when the Pope and the Kingdom of the Franks were good BFFs, and King of the Franks, Charlemagne, was like, hey man, being King of the Franks is nice and all, but I want more legitimacy, and also to become the continuation of the Roman Empire. So what say in return for my protection, you crown me Emperor so everyone will respect me more? Sure thing, pal. We'll hold the ceremony tomorrow. Charlemagne, King of the Franks, I hereby crown you Emperor of the West. Oh my goodness. I was not expecting this at all. What a surprise. I simply cannot accept. Oh, okay then. I guess I'll just put this back over here. Give me that crown. Charlemagne's crowning as emperor was certainly an historic moment, but it also created a bit of an interesting problem. It set the precedent that from here on out, only the Pope could crown an emperor, but the Pope...
So I think he talks about it in a second. That's called papal investiture. Investiture means that the Pope gets to pick your bishops and your barons and everyone who like runs like your churches in your country. It's a very common thing. They have it on Crusader Kings as well. There's free investiture versus papal investiture, and a lot of times it causes heads to collide per se on like Crusader Kings. Whenever you don't have papal investiture on, it makes the Pope really mad. It's essentially a way for the Pope to have a lot more power. There's a religious context to it. I can't remember what the context is aside from this, but there is another religious context to it. So that's important to know whenever you're talking about this subject.
Pope was also very much under the influence and control of Charlemagne. So who really held the power here? The Pope or the Emperor? I'm sure that this conflict won't cause anyone to die. Bishop of Freising, we want to thank you once again for visiting our wonderful city. It's been an honor. The pleasure is all mine, and what a wonderful tour it's been. I've seen the city walls, I've seen the towers, nothing could top that. Oh, couldn't it? Because we've saved the best for last. Ta-da! Yes, that's very interesting. Isn't it the greatest thing you've ever seen? Well, I mean, it is just a bucket. Get him out of here! Over time, Charlemagne's position as emperor and the kingdom of the Franks gradually evolved into the Holy Roman Empire. And by now, the Pope and the Emperor weren't such good friends anymore, since neither could agree on who was the boss of who. To make matters worse, the Emperor had taken to investing his own bishops and abbots. What does that mean? Well, allow me to explain. The problem for the Holy Roman Emperor was his empire wasn't really an empire, so much as a nightmarish federation made up of hundreds of counties, duchies, bishoprics, and more.
So, fun little rule of thumb whenever you're talking about the Holy Roman Empire in history. I can't believe you put male hag as a tag. I'm dying. You just now noticed that? I bet I've had that on for like 100 streams in a row now. So fun fact about this. There's a fun little rule of thumb that you do whenever you learn about history, right? The Holy Roman Empire, or the HRE, is neither holy nor Roman, nor is it an empire. The Holy Roman Empire, right? So let's talk about holy first, right? The Pope supposedly crowns who the new head of the Holy Roman Empire is. The problem with that is that the Pope doesn't always do that for the Holy Roman Empire, especially for like the last like 200 or 300 years it was around, because they were all different religions. Some of them at the start were not really Christians. Some of them were different types of heretics. Some of them were like, trying to remember what they were. They were like Astari, I think was, or Staru or something like that. And like the northeastern parts, like Pomerania and somewhere like that. Outside of that, whenever the Reformation happened, a lot of them became Lutherans. So they were Protestants. Heretics to them. That's what I mean by that. They were pagans, heretics, seen as heretics to the Holy Roman Emperor. And so whenever you're talking about holiness, right, they're also not really selected by the Pope or by any type of means or ways of being sat on that throne, aside from an election. It was an elective council that put the new emperor on the throne. So anytime you had like a lot of land or something like that, you got more votes, which caused a lot of infighting, which then led to that not being called really an empire, because it was a loose conglomerate of a bunch of German and Austrian and Czech states and like Bohemia and like all these other places that shared some characteristics, but not many. They were very different in terms of religion. They were very different in terms of languages. They were very different in terms of culture. If you're talking about, you know, a Bavarian versus a Bohemian, right? It's like kind of similar, not really. Very different peoples though. And then for the Roman part, they're obviously not Roman because they didn't control Rome. They weren't from the Romans. They weren't descended from Rome. There was no part of them that are part of Rome, aside from the Catholic Church, essentially the Pope saying, yeah, you're the new, like the emperor of Rome. You claim Rome because you own Rome right now. The problem is whenever Charlemagne got that title, his kingdom then dissolved into Aquitaine and East and West Lotharingia and some other places where his kids had it. And then eventually over time, people conglomerated their, or kind of centered their power in certain areas, and it became German instead of French. And it's like a whole hundreds of year thing where it transferred over slightly, and it was a whole thing. But it's important to know, HRE is neither holy nor Roman nor an empire. So remember that. Hi, Keach. Hi, Cleon. Welcome in. All right, let's get back to the video.
Princes in charge of these local regions often didn't give the emperor their loyalty. The German nobility spent a lot of their time rebelling against the emperor, and the emperor spent a lot of his time trying to put down those rebellions.
Yep.
Can we get rid of them? Who? All the nobility. Get rid of them and pick new ones who are loyal to me. You can't just remove noble families from their territory. Please? Aw, okay, how about this? Some of those territories are ruled by bishops and abbots, and as Holy Roman Emperor, considered by many to be the deputy of Jesus Christ himself, perhaps you can choose who gets to become bishop and abbot. Yay! Now it's time to turn out the lights and go to sleep. Okay, I love you. Okay, good night. Say it back. And so it was.
Strangest wars in history. Why do I feel like there's going to be a coverage about something I'm always asked about? I don't know. Ampy, I don't know why you would think that, silly goose. We would never cover the Emu War. Check out the Emu War. It's on my YouTube. You can go check out my entire thing on YouTube. It's up now. I did upload that the other day. I'm sick, but I may have lost the battle, but we have not lost the war. My immune system. Very good. Don't lose the war. Because if you lose the war, that means it's game end.
The emperor invested his own family and loyal followers into powerful church positions, and thereby was able to increase his own power and authority. Not only that, but the emperor and other nobility were also engaging in something called simony. That's when someone would come along and say, hey, I want to become a bishop and get all the personal riches that come with the position. Perhaps we could come to some kind of arrangement. That's right. Church positions were actually being sold to the highest bidder. And let me tell you, they probably didn't come cheap. It's going to cost you.
This is where a lot of the stuff from like Martin Luther, I think, came from, was because a lot of the simony and the buying of indulgences for sin, a lot of that came from where he was at in Germany. So I think that probably heavily influenced him and the history around why the Reformation got so big. The War of the Bucket is a microcosm of this bigger issue that's going on in Europe at this time, which is that. You know C now? Oh, okay. All right, I'll take my glasses off. Hang on 1 second. What's the button? Boop. There we go. That's not very nice of you. Ooh, you have a YouTube now? Nice. Keep up the good work, Prop. Thank you, thank you. Yeah, I've had a YouTube for a while though. not to be weird about it, but yeah, the uploads are a lot better now. I'll say that. The uploads are happening every day except for the weekends. So Monday, Wednesday, Friday we have these until I run out of VODs, and then Tuesdays and Wednesdays are
So love one, 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 fuck you.
Thank you, Amphi. Yeah, like I was saying, the VODs are going to get uploaded Monday, Wednesday, Friday until we run out of VODs, and then they're just going to be like probably every Monday, Friday, maybe. And then the shorts are going to be Tuesdays and Thursdays. It'll be a little bit better, I think, on the whole. Teach, we need a no jacket redeem. Good Lord, have mercy. I'll think about it. I've never seen you without glasses. Yeah, they neither have. Oh, and Amphi said what I was gonna say. Yeah, he's never seen himself without glasses after either. Yeah, real. I can't see very well, so I'm having to like squint. But yeah, it's fine. I do this out of love for you all.
Do a lot more than this. I don't think so. I've got a promo code. And speaking
Oh
of
no,
promo
not
code,
honey, no. It's oversimplified. You fell victim to the fucking scam. No, he fell victim to it.
So thank you. Now where were we? Oh yeah. Investing bishops and abbots, selling church positions, authority, and power. Wait a minute. This is depravity. The purpose of the church isn't for him to increase his own authority and power. It's for me to increase my own authority and power. What about Jesus, Your Holiness? What? I thought the purpose of the church was to spread the good message of Jesus Christ. How drunk are you? Very.
Real.
All right, the results for the election of Chief Magistrate are in. Giovanni Kablami, 1%. Spaghetti Jeff, 2%. And the bucket, 1 trillion%.
Yay!
Around 1050, a series of reformist popes came along, and they said enough was enough. They wanted to stop the emperor from abusing the church and investing his own church officials. How are you going to stop me so long as I have control over who becomes pope? Remember the circular power division? If you try to stop me, I'll just depose you and pick someone else. Oh no, I've contracted tuberculosis. And just like that, the emperor was dead. His 6-year-old son, Henry IV, took over. And as we all know, child emperors equal opportunity. The church had an opening to take back control of the papacy. Hey man, I hope you don't mind, but we're changing the rules so that only the church cardinals can elect the pope, and you no longer have any say in the matter. You know, if that's cool with you. I peed my pants. Okay, great talk.
All right,
Then, with the
cool,
position
champ.
of the
Have a
pope
good day.
little more secure, he held a big meeting where he drew up a big list of all the reforms and new powers he was giving himself, and it included some pretty gnarly stuff. Okay, first, I have the power to depose emperors. Everyone cool with that?
It's such a crazy thing too. This entire thing leads to this big war, which we're going to talk about soon. But I can't even imagine being the pope at this time, being the head of that. Like, imagine the pope today being like, I can overthrow entire democratically elected governments because I just say so. The amount of backlash that would be coming at the Catholic Church would be crazy. I just pat the red guys. Give you. Well, hang on. You don't do the head pats or the bonks right now because you're gonna hit the red guys. Don't hit the Cardinals. They didn't do anything yet. I want to pet you, not the pet. Well, yeah, okay, hang on. Since I'm gonna be staying here. You know, give me 1 second. I'll move the head pats over. Hang on. Oh, we got ads. I'm so sorry, y'all. Let's see here. Let's see. Where's the Cardinal? There he is. Oh, that's not it. Ow. There we go. Try it again. Boom, there we go. All right, there you go. You are welcome. If only I didn't have work tomorrow, I would have aced this exam. Anyways, good night, everyone. Have a great time. Have a good night, Sasa. Thanks. Thanks, Moist. Thank you very much. Too bad I'm broke now. I did it for you. You got head pats. There you go. You did it. That was from you. Give me my points back. I gave you your redeem. What do you mean? I did it twice. This guy Cleon, man. This guy wants everything. You want the world too? Is that what you want? Freedom. Oh, I think I peaked my mic there. Sorry. Anyways.
Yeah. Let's see. Only I can depose or reinstate bishops. Yeah? Alright. No one can judge me. All princes shall only kiss my feet. Only my name shall be spoken in the churches. My name is the only name in the world. Okay, I think you're done. These were all some pretty radical powers the Pope was giving himself. And
oh, here it is. So you can actually look at the thing he wrote.
These were all some pretty radical powers.
So all princes shall kiss the feet of the Pope alone. It's essentially this: the princes shall answer to the Pope and only the Pope. He alone can depose or reinstate bishops. His name is the only name in the world, which I think that means that he's the only true ruler of... He's the only true voice of Christ, I think is like what it probably would have been, if I had to guess. Because he is the Pope and that's his gimmick.
And with these reforms, the Pope was basically telling the Emperor, you no longer have the right to choose your own bishops and abbots. Only I can do that. When the Emperor, now a full-grown man, heard the news, he was furious. What? This is madness! Who does this guy think he is? I'm the Emperor, for goodness sake. He can't tell me what to do. I'll invest my own bishops and abbots if I want to, and this rapscallion can go right to heck! I peed my pants again! The whole conflict escalated when Henry IV went to the Pope and said, hey, guess what, sucker? You're deposed. Oh? Wait a minute. I'm the Pope. You can't depose me. You're deposed. Oh. Wait a minute. I'm the Emperor. You can't depose me. You're deposed. Oh. Wait a minute. Eventually, the German princes took advantage of the situation, and they all turned against Henry. Henry was forced to apologize to the Pope, and the whole thing ended there. Except it didn't. The whole conflict, known today as the investiture controversy, would continue on for centuries as popes and emperors engaged in a power struggle over the emperor choosing his own church officials. The overall result of this conflict is very intricate and full of complexities, but in general, the Pope was able to increase his authority. Great news, Your Holiness. Your influence is on the rise throughout civilized Europe, except for this one city in northern Italy. Really? What's going on there?
Ooga, 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 ooga.
As for the Emperor, he found his realm thrown into further chaos and civil war, as the local princes continued to increase their own power and independence. This was most notably the case in northern Italy. Separated from the rest of the Holy Roman Empire by the Alps, the Emperor's influence and control over Italy had often been questionable. In the current chaos, these Italian city-states began operating almost...
Cleon, do you want your points back? I'll give you your points back. Moondog or Amphi, can you please give Cleon their 50 points back, plus an additional 50 points so that they can do with that what they want?
Entirely independently. Their practical independence was further solidified when Emperor Frederick Barbarossa came down in 1176.
Hey, we talked about him in the Spear of Destiny.
To reassert his control, the cities formed an alliance, and with the Pope's support, they kicked the Emperor right back to Germany. Hooray, said the Italian city-states. We did it. We're the best of friends. and then they immediately began attacking each other. Why? Well, this whole Pope versus Emperor thing, in Italy at least, had infiltrated society to its very core. Across Italy, families and cities were torn between two opposing sides.
The Guelph and the Ghibelline, and there's others as well. So these were either they flipped alliances or they were beholden to something else, like a different group. So if you know Romeo and Juliet, this is the lines of which a lot of their issues came from. They were pro-pope, pro-emperor, and they, I think it was Shakespeare who I think used that historical precedent for these warring city-states in Italy, because this was very common at this time. It wasn't just pro-pope, pro-emperor, it was like pro-free trade, pro-mercantilism, pro-like whatever it was. Like whatever issue, there was never a single issue that all of the Italian city-states could agree on. There is not one, except for whenever it came to defense of Italy in the north. That was it. That's the only thing. Indicate how to give extra points, but I'll just double refund. That'll work. Hello, Pookie Patootie. Patati. Hello, Max. Welcome in. I don't think it's possible to give extra points. I think it's literally like give points. I think it's /give points or something like that. It's okay. Just refund them twice and you'll be good. All right. Anyways, get back to the video.
On one side, the Guelphs, who supported the Pope's cause. On the other, the Ghibellines, who supported the Emperor. These two sides struggled for control as Guelph cities battled against Ghibelline ones. As usual, personal interest played a pretty big role, as pro-Pope Guelph cities tended to be rich mercantile ones who didn't like the Emperor's taxes. Emperors supporting Ghibellines, on the other hand, were often agricultural, where the expanding papal states were a larger threat. These cities would sometimes even switch sides depending who is in charge and their ever-changing personal interests. In some cities, brutal fighting broke out in the streets as opposing families fought for control. At times, the conflict became so tribal that the differences between the two sides
is oversimplified, yes. We're watching a video before we get to our history lesson.
I can't bear it. We must be together. But how can we? My Ghibelline family wears feathers on the left side of their caps, and your Guelph family wears them on the right. My Ghibelline family cuts fruit straight down, and your Guelph family cuts fruit crosswise. These are arbitrary differences. We shouldn't let them tear us apart. We can be together no matter what our families think. Wonderful news. Let's make a toast to our love. I'll drink from my Ghibelline smooth goblet, and I shall drink from my Guelph chaste goblet.
You sicken me.
Get out of my sight, you dirty Pope-loving wench. Two city-states in particular that got caught in a long-standing rivalry was the Emperor supporting Modena and the Pope supporting, bucket-loving, Bologna. These two cities had bad blood between them, as they had already fought against each other on a number of occasions. In 1249, the two sides took part in the Battle of Fasolta, after which the victorious Bolognese launched a live donkey into Modena to humiliate them. For decades after that, the two sides would occasionally take little day trips into each other's territory and mess things about a bit. In the fateful year of 1325, the Bolognese went on one such trip and laid waste to some farmlands. The ruler of Modena, Passerino de Bonacolsi, was having none of it. The Bolognese had two major forts protecting their city in the southwest, so Passerino, in retaliation, decided to take an army down and lay siege to one of them. Hey, you dirty Bolognese jerks! You think you can raid our farmlands? Come out here and face me like a man. Hey man, what's up? I've just come out to let you know that there's no need to siege us because... Whoa, hey man, chill out. I'm trying to tell you... Whoa, stop doing that. I'm trying to tell you I'm actually secretly sympathetic to the Imperial cause and I want to willingly hand the fort over to you.
Have fun, Joe.
Cool. Okay.
Bye-bye.
Dude, what was that for? For betraying your people. And this is for joining mine. Mwah. The Bolognese were pretty unhappy to lose one of their main defensive forts, but to make matters worse, then this happened. Hey, wait a minute. Where's the bucket? Oh no, it's gone. Those Modenese must have taken it. We'll make them pay. This is unacceptable. They may take our lives. They may take our fort, but they will never take our bucket. Oh wait, here it is.
Okay. So chat, do you guys know about this war? Have you guys ever heard about this? Have you heard about the war for the bucket? Do you know what happens here? Why do you think it's called the war for the bucket? What thing do you think happened with this that caused this to be called the war of the bucket? Lead the Legion? Okay. Write that down for me, Amphi, and we'll do that later. Or Moon, whichever one of you will be here the entire time. And we'll do that. It's fine. They want the bucket? No, they don't want the bucket. Should be hit whoops. What? What did you say? Dude. No way. Ah! God damn you, Moist. The bucket was missing. No, the bucket wasn't missing. So the war for the bucket, a lot of the times, yeah. The war for the bucket, a lot of the times, it's talked about in history as this thing where these Modenese soldiers sneak into the town of Bologna. They take the bucket, they go back, and then the Bolognese send out an army to go get their bucket back because they're like, oh, I love this bucket. So there's actually, and if you're studying this in historical context, that's not what happens at all. What ends up happening is, and he'll talk about this here in a second, I just wanted to talk about this before he got into it. The Modenese take over all this farmland after the Bolognese raid their farms. They take over a fortress, and then the Bolognese get pissed off about that, and so they head out to retake the fort. So whenever they get over there, they lose a battle again, and then the Modenese come up after defeating the Bolognese in open combat and taking another one of their fortresses. They end up partying outside for 3 days straight, and then to sign the peace treaty, or after they raid their city and they take all their stuff, they take the bucket with them. And their peace treaty that they sign is, we get to keep the bucket because we won the war. Because there was no real like significance to this battle, because I think in a later war the Bolognese got their 2 fortresses back. But it's called the War of the Bucket because there's a misconception that somebody stole the bucket and that's what caused the war. That's not actually what caused the war, though. It was this overarching thing that happens with it. It's so interesting to see how these wars have been called this. And you're going to see that a couple of times in these wars that we're talking about. And I'm going to be real, since we're not going super in depth with them, there's might be some of these that aren't super accurate to the names of them. But for the most part, stuff like this occurs whenever you have a lot of people saying the same things over and over, or there's like a very popular historian that gets out there and they're like, oh, this is what happened definitively. This is that, right? This is why this happened. And then people read that and they're like, well, that's such a silly, weird anecdote in history. Then you get people saying, well, they started a war over a bucket. Well, no, they didn't. They started a war over, number one, papal differences. Number two, the existing beef between them from a previous war. And then the bucket just became a part of it because they kept the bucket because they liked the bucket, or they were making fun of them having regular wood pail buckets for like the entire town instead of artesian wells. Bro, you are not going to come into my stream and tell me to stop yapping. Bro, get the fuck out of here. Do not come into my stream and tell me to stop yapping, bro. And do not call me little bro. Don't do that. Don't do that. Do not do that to me. You are not going to keep disrespecting me like that all the time. You come in here and you say shit like that. That actually makes me kind of upset. All right, bro. Get him out of here. Get him out of here. Mods, ban him. Get him out. I'm not doing that. I'm not dealing with that shit. Bye. Have fun. Goodbye. You ain't going to come in here and disrespect me like this every single time I do anything. You are not that guy. I do not give a fuck. I've given you so many chances and you still continue to do this shit. I do not care. You do not get to talk to me like that. This is not the first time I've warned you. It's not the second or third time. This is like the 15th time I've warned you. Bye-bye. Have fun. Anyways, let's get back to it. Let's get back to our history lesson.
I found it, guys. It's right here. Phew. Could you imagine if we started a war over that? That would have been really stupid, and there'd probably be a billion videos about it on YouTube one day. Thank goodness it never actually happened. That's right. The famous story you may know about the War of the Bucket, that the war started because Modena stole Bologna's bucket, doesn't actually seem to be quite right. I was surprised to find that the bucket was likely not actually stolen at the start of the war. And at this point, I want to thank and give a big shout out to fellow history YouTuber M Laser. He's the one guy I found who actually translated a fantastic original Italian source, and then kindly allowed me to use his work in my own research. He does really well researched and in-depth videos, and definitely deserves way more subscribers, so please head on over and check him out. The real reason Bologna seems to have declared war on Modena is simply that they both hated each other, supported opposing factions, the Pope had called on Guelph cities to attack Passerino, and Bologna wanted its fort back. And they were gonna get it back. Bologna had a large force, much larger than what Modena could muster up, so they felt pretty confident. They sent half their force to lay siege and take back the fort, and the other half took defensive positions to prevent the Modenese from crossing the river. The smaller Modenese force were struggling to find a place to cross, so one night they were like, "Hey guys, look out, we're attacking way up here in the north. Better move your troops." Oh, would you look at that? That was easy.
Classic.
And just like that, the Modenese were across the river. The Bolognese were probably expecting the Modenese to come and break their siege, but instead, the Modenese went for the second fort at Zappolino. Bologna
Such a classic military move for, like, these times in history. Wait, what in the world? Did my thing just disappear? What the fuck? What the fuck?
couldn't afford to
Hello? What in the world? Hold up. Hold up, hold up. That was weird. Okay, hold up.
lose both of its defensive
They just have some good ass balsamic vinegar in Modena, though. I don't know. I never had it. Wait, mods, kill that guy. Real.
forts, so the entire Bolognese force moved to take defensive positions at Zappolino. When the Modenese arrived, it was already late in the day, and there were about 2 hours of sunlight left. In most medieval battles, at this point, both sides would set up a camp, rest for the night, and prepare for battle the next day. But the outnumbered Modenese decided the only way to win was to deal a quick, decisive blow while the Bolognese were still unorganized and unprepared. And that's exactly what they did. They charged at the Bolognese line, and the two sides engaged in fierce combat. Then the sneaky Modenese pulled what must be the most predictable, yet
Cavalry
somehow
from the rear,
consistently
baby.
surprising move in medieval
Right up the
warfare.
pooper.
They sent the cavalry around the side and hit him from behind. Bing bang bong. The Bolognese went on the run. With casualties in the thousands, Modena had won, and the Modenese cavalry chased the Bolognese cavalry all the way back to the city. After Modena's victory, they went on a tour of the Bolognese countryside, burning some stuff down along the way. When they reached the city itself, instead of laying siege, they set up a camp and basically held a massive party for 3 days. The defeated Bolognese could only sit back and watch. As the Modenese force
Get
began
fucked.
packing up and getting ready to leave, they noticed something. Oh my gosh. Hey, check this out. No way. Are you kidding me? They're still using traditional wells. Hey, you dumb Bolognese. Ever heard of an artesian well? You can't
got
even
him.
get water out of the ground without using a stupid bucket. It's not a stupid bucket. It's a wonderful bucket. Yeah, whatever, bucket boy. We're taking this with us.
Bye, bucket.
So Modena stole Bologna's bucket and put it up on display in their cathedral, eventually moving it to
Which
the
is so
city
funny,
hall,
it's still
where it
there.
remains on display
Look
to
at that.
this day.
That's the
two
same
cities
bucket.
came to a peace settlement a few months later. Bologna would have to pay heavy war reparations, and in exchange, Modena would return all conquered territories.
Oh, that's what it
Modena
was. They got
kept
their force
the
back
bucket.
during the thing.
Despite being one of the bloodiest
peace
battles
treaty.
in medieval Italian history, it didn't really change anything.
3,000
except now Modena
casualties
had
for
Bologna's bucket.
for that.
As for the larger power struggle between the Pope and the Holy Roman Emperor, that would continue on for some time and played a part in many major events of medieval history, such as the Crusades, the Protestant Reformation, eventually leading to the general separation of church and state we see in Europe today.
Yep.
So there you have it. We learned about the Pope and the Holy Roman Emperor, the investiture controversy, and finally, the War of the Bucket. It's been a long day, and it's time to turn out the lights and go to sleep. Okay, I love you. Okay, good night. Say it back!
Thank you, Oversimplified, for having a banger video there for us to watch. Thank you very much. What in the world? MeUndies trying to get me banned. All right, let's turn this off. Good video. Yeah, 100%. 100% good video. All of his videos are great. I cannot highly recommend him enough. He has great stuff. All of his stuff is very, very good. All right, here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to put you guys up, cha. Actually, I'm going to put you down, cha. And we're going to take a quick little breaky poo. I just need like 5 minutes. I need to use the bathroom, and I need to get some water. And oh yeah, I do the squats real quick, and then we're gonna go on a little 5-minute breaky poo. 5-minute break. Promise. Maybe less, actually. I'm going to do my squats real quick. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Who says I don't? Who says I don't have one? Who says? Anyways, I'm going to go take a short break, 5-minute break. We're going to listen to this, whatever else is on here. Hang on. What in the world is that? All right, you know what? I'm just going to put on Baby No Money because I don't care. I'm putting on Baby No Money. All right, you guys enjoy Baby No Money, and I'll be back in like 5 minutes. Show proof is crazy.
Baby, no money, got money, I'm a paradise. 3 scoop, creatine, steam room, equinox. 3 bathhouse, giving me triceratops. 3 short kings in the squad like Eric. I'ma take your chick like a thief in the night. You off, I'm on, it's the circle of life. I'm top my shit, yeah, I'm crossing the line. Yeah, I'm BBNO, one of a kind. Mr. Zero, bro, make a typo. My girl got a girl, she a nympho. Ain't too good, I think I need lipo. Prop 1, 2, 3, 4, I'm a psycho. Commas in $1 million. More than I'm giving in fucks. Shotties with a big old butt. 4G out of sets on a truck. 1 to the kidney, 2 to the dome. That's left, right, left, right, left, right, go. Got a rollie for the brunch and a paddock for the show. That's left, right, left, right, left, right, go. Got a big new body and a whip it like a pro. That's left, right, left, right, left, right, go. Got a great main chick and a real bad hoe. That's left, right, left, right, left, right, go. Outside sunny with a shine, it's sunny with a sweet new honey like ooh la la. Don't walk, I'm strutting, doing pingers at bunnies. Yo man, I'm sunning cause I'm really that guy. Only on fast, love cheese, went keto. Pat my fur like a pussycat pico. Funko, pop that pussy like Clico. Dust on the table, I ain't talking no Cheeto. Bands on bands on bands on bands. Yeah, I pay millions on my tax. Bands on bands on bands on bands. Bet on me, that's a one-step plan. Doing that dance. Shaking that jetty, yeah, shaking that jam. Taking that advance. So much cash, it'll put you in a trance. That's left, right, left, right, left, right, go. 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 Balls hanging low while I pop a bottle off of ya. Chain swinging, clang, clang, and it costs a lot. Bitch, I'm always at the guala, yeah, and you are not badass beat. Keep on going till you hit the spot. Whoa, I'm a big bag hunter with the bow. She got a big bed, number drop it low. Mama called me and she happy with the grow. Never ever fall for a party that's a no.
Just pop the Kenny about a million options. So the stock and I stop doing agreement. I rock arenas, bringing the peace. I'm bumping that park in the car, pretending I got all the eyes on me. Got a bad baby and she's independent. Too many people older than me, they're seeking attention. When they want me about the goofies, man, I should've listened. And the smell of the money, my strangest addiction.
She tit for dick, I let her lit, I had to dip. I'm off a fifth, I'm all rich now. I bought a whip, I paint a paint, it drive itself. The fuck you think? Yeah, I'm rich now. Hey, little mama, yeah, you heard about me. I'ma pop you like a pea, yeah, at a mommy. Yeah, feel so hot like I'm chilling on the beach. Yeah, baby in the sun like the Teletubbies. Balls hanging low while I pop a bottle off of ya. Chain swinging, clang, clang, and it costs a lot. Bitch, I'm always after guala, yeah, and you are not badass beat. Keep on going till you hit the spot. Whoa, I'm a big bag hunter with the bow. She got a big bed, number drop it low. Mama called me and she happy with the grow. Never ever fall for a party that's a no.
I've been in this club and taking shots. If you got your mask off in the photo, you getting crap. Hopping out the function. The CVS is like a block away. Bought a moisturizer, my ice cold is dry on my face. Don't need that VVS, my ice is fake. Your life is fake. I choose to do it for my pocket's sake. You're basing your opinions on what the major says. I renovate the bad energy I erase.
Yeah, I don't really ever wanna top. Only really ever wanna top. Guess I'm going back to the side. At least this money never really stops. Hey, little mama, yeah, you heard about me. I'ma pop you like a pea, yeah, at a mommy. Yeah, feel so hot like I'm chilling on the beach. Yeah, baby in the sun like the Teletubbies. Balls hanging low while I pop a bottle off of your chain swinging, clang clang, and it costs a lot. Bitch, I'm always after Guala, yeah, and you are not badass beat. Keep on going till you hit the spot. Whoa, I'm a big bag hunter with the bow. She got a big bed, drop it low. Mama called me and she happy with the grow. Never ever fall for a thotty, that's an oath.
Baby No Money, who the fuck do you think you are?
Bitch, I'm him. TBOYBBNO $sign.
That's me. That's right. That's me. That's right. Am the N. So true, baby, no money. So true. Okay, chat. I'm back. Sorry about that. I hope baby no money kept you company while I was gone. All I can think of with this song is the really good animation a person made. Yeah, real. Okay, the left, right, left, right, left, right. Yeah, that one. I know exactly the one you're talking about. That was also on my feed. All right, I'm gonna have to remember how I do this real quick. Hang on one second. It's a window capture, I think, right? I think I'm not crazy in remembering that, so. All right, so let me window capture real quick our PowerPoint presentation, shall we? And we will get started here. From the beginning. All right, y'all, give me 1 second here. Just making sure everything's set up. I think I got everything. In the meantime, guys, I want you to remember the question of the day. Don't remember not to answer yet. Remember not to answer yet. What is the strangest war you can think of that was not something that we just listened to? What is the oddest thing you can think of? God, I love Baby No Money. Yeah, same. Pretty cool. Pretty good guy. All right, here we go. That's what I was going to do. Boom, and boom, and there we go. Okay, let's get back to it. Remember that, and we're going to talk about that in just a second. Okay, so, y'all, can you hear me? Hello, hello? Am I good? Whoop. Whoop, whoop, whoop. From the beginning. From the beginning, let us do the thing. That is not right. That is not right. There it is. That's not right either. What the hell? Let's see if this is right. Is that right? That is not right. Wait a minute. Okay, why is my PowerPoint not up? Oh, that's not it. It's this one. Boom. All right, there we go. We got it now. There it is. Boom. Strangest wars in history. Mother? I have a word, but it's incredibly 18 plus and vile. Please don't. Please do not. I've already banned. Please. Subtitles aren't available right now. Wait a minute. No, subtitles are needed. Wait a minute. Wait a minute! Options. Wait. Oh shoot. Wait, where's the damn... Ah, no. I changed my microphone out. I think it fucked up the thing. That sucks. Okay, well, I'm sorry, y'all who are not capable of hearing. Subtitle setting. Or setting. Oh, there we go. Ah, boom. There we go. Hello. Hello. Can you hear me now? Hello? Yay. Okay, we got it. Max died. Max back. I died? Wait, what? How did I die? What do you mean I died? I better not have died on fucking Twitch again. I'm gonna freak the fuck out if I died on Twitch. Don't you tell me that. Don't you tell me that. Don't do this to me, Twitch. Don't. I'm gonna freak the fuck out, man. Ooh. So fucking mad. Alright, anyways. Let's get through this here. Alright, y'all. I'm not mentally prepared for most words. I lost my connection briefly. Dude, there's no fucking way. Alright, everyone. Welcome in to one of the weirdest history lessons you'll ever get to experience here at the Max Forge channel. War is often associated with politics, land, or power struggles, but sometimes conflicts break out for truly bizarre reasons. And I mean real bizarre. From nations fighting each other over a single pig to a military campaign against birds, tonight's presentation is going to take you through some of the strangest and most ridiculous wars in history. If you think that war has some serious cause, think again. Sit back, grab your snacks, let's dive into this history lesson, into history's most absurd battles. Welcome into the presentation, y'all. Strangest Wars in History by myself, Max Forge. Let's go through right now. Here it comes. So, before we dive into history's strangest conflicts, let's get our minds warmed up with a fun little question, right? This is the question I asked y'all earlier. Your screen chat is broken, FYI. Wait, what? My screen chat is broken? Oh, that's why. Whoops. It's not broken. It's just... Hang on. I'm going to do this. And I'm going to do this. There we go. All right, cool. I think this is fine. Right? Right? Do we make it smaller? Maybe that. Is that better? We'll just bring it down then. Is that better? How's that? Is this okay? Oh, this is broken. You mean this is broken? I didn't even realize until you said something about it. What the fuck? Okay. How about I'm just gonna turn it off. Just gonna turn it off right now. There you go. All right, we're gonna put this back up here. Sorry, chat. I'm gonna be reading on the side, so if I don't see your messages, that's why. Sorry about that. Sorry. All right, so getting back into it. As I said, before we dive into history's strangest conflicts, let's get our minds warmed up for a little bit of fun with a fun question right here. So, wars are usually fought over land and resources of power, as I said before, but as you'll see tonight, there's going to be some very strange ones that have very, very odd reasons for starting. Think about all the wars that you've learned about in your entire time in a history class. And I want you to think, what's the strangest reason that you've heard somebody go to war for? What's the strangest reason that you have heard? Not something you can make up in your head. What's the strangest reason for a war that you can think of that is real, that you know about? Are there any that had an odd cause? Maybe a war over a tiny piece of land? Maybe won by a personal grudge? Anything like that? A woman? That's real. Helen of Troy. That's a real war. Strangest reason for a war. Pasta. I don't think there was one over pasta. Not that I saw, but I might be wrong. All right, so here's another fun little twist. If you had to start a war over something completely ridiculous, what would it be? And I want you to think about that. That's going to be our end question. But for right now, I'm not going to say my answer. Oh, Lord have mercy. There's one every day, brother. Oh, Lord have mercy, dude. Calm down. All right, so let's first define, since we went over this, let's define what war is, right? We went over that. So the textbook definition of war is a state of armed conflict between groups, nation states, between different nations or states or different groups within a nation or state. Some common causes for this would probably be land, resources, power, religion, and political disputes. War is generally understood as an armed conflict between said groups, whether it's nation states, factions, and it can last from anywhere from days to years or even centuries. Most wars start over serious issues like land disputes, political control, religion, access to resources, but as you're soon going to see, not all wars follow that pattern. Some started over these very, very odd reasons, and wars are not always super serious. A lot of the times, there's a lot of wars, actually, and I was researching, that are very goofy. Some very goofy wars. Dr. Pepper versus Mug Root Beer. I'd go to war for Mug. I'd go to war for Mug Root Beer. I'd kill someone for a Mug Root Beer. People ask you what would you do for a Klondike bar? They never ask you what you do for Mug Root Beer. I'd kill an entire colony of settlers for a Mug Root Beer. Don't ask me where I was at the Roanoke colony on the coast where they had Krakatoa written on the or Croatoa written on the tree. That was definitely not me with the time machine. That was not me. That wasn't me. My history only took us over the Cold War and World War II, so I'm going on the preparation of pasta, and it would be a civil war somewhere. Probably Italy, if I had to guess. But let's explore maybe some of these. Actually, let's do another pop. Let's do a little pop quiz here. I'm gonna go over some things with y'all. Here you go. Which one of these are real wars? A war fought over a wooden bucket. B, a war fought over a FIFA World Cup qualifier. C, a war fought over a pastry restaurant. Which one of these? Which three? I wrote a joke about Klondike bars. I'd love to hear it. I bet it's unbearable, though. Get it? Because they got bears. They're Klondike bears. They polar bear on it. Sorry, I'll see myself out. Max, there's been a war over pasta in the 1930s in Italy. This is amazing. People fight over just so much. I don't know, because I don't care. Dr. Pepper's really good for cooking gammon, so I'll be down for Dr. Pepper. What the fuck is gammon? That's a British cuisine if I've ever heard it. All right. So, Moist said all of them. Does anybody else have a guess, a hazard a guess, A, B, or C? Anybody? Anybody care to hazard a guess? Guess? Embarrassing. Embarrassing. I went to your hood. They don't know who you are. All right. So the secret answer is actually D. Secret answer D here. It's a trick question. They're all real. Every single one of these caused the war. Every single one of them. All of them caused the war. You were right, Moist. They were all a reason for war. And we're going to talk about all three of them today. These are some of the silliest reasons I have ever read to go to war. Buckets, football matches, and even pastries have led to armed conflicts in history. Welcome again into the bizarre side of history. As I said before, ladies and gentlemen, we're going to get into some really weird shit. Starting off with our first war, the Pastry War, from 1838 to 1839. So, what happened? Why was this a thing? What in the world is going on with this? In 1838, a French pastry chef that was living in Mexico claimed his shop had been damaged by Mexican officers during riots in this town. He went to the local officials and demanded a 60,000 peso compensation to rebuild his business and shop, which is a fair thing to ask. And it was actually a bit absurd for the amount, but the amount of damages that I've read about for this is actually correct. But when Mexico refused, he sent a letter to France and said, look, these guys damaged my shop. It's 60,000 pesos worth of damage, in my opinion. You know, I can't work. I can't do anything. I'm having to like go through all this rigmarole with the courts and stuff, and I don't know how long it's going to take for me to get paid. I need you to do something about this. To which the French responded with an excuse to use warships and blockade Mexican ports. If you don't know, Mexico and France have a very checkered history in past with the Mexicans breaking away from independence. That's actually what I believe that's what Cinco de Mayo is about. It's a battle that Mexico fought against France, if I'm remembering correctly. But they have a long story history with their Emperor Napoleon III was the head of Mexico whenever they broke away from independence from the French. But this conflict escalated to a full-on naval engagement, and the French even bombarded the city of Veracruz. The war only ended when Mexico agreed to pay 600,000 pesos back to not just the person who had the pastry shop, but also the French Empire itself, showing how something as small as a pastry shop could lead to a full-scale conflict. It's a word that proves that sometimes dessert really is serious business. Fun fact about this. The guy only saw a small portion. He actually didn't get the 60,000 pesos. He only got a small amount of this. It was a little bit smaller than the amount that they had. I read that earlier. Thought it would be a fun thing to see, but I also have pay me for my pastries. Make me punches Mexico. Very funny. Very cool. This is actually a historical picture of the little battle that they had for the pastry war. I'm going to sleep. Have a good lesson. I'll be sleeping in the back. Thank you so much for coming, Sleepy, and have a good time dreaming of Dr. Pepper-soaked gammon. All right, let's move on to our next subject, the War of Jenkins's Ear. Very strange cause for war, this one. An ear. So in 1731, British merchant captain Robert Jenkins claimed that the Spanish Coast Guard had boarded his ship, accused him of smuggling, and cut off his ear as a warning. This was over in the East Indies. Whenever he returned several years later to England, he went and presented his preserved ear to the British Parliament in 1738, to which, of course, they were aghast and were so taken aback by the sight of somebody's severed ear that they said, "What in the world happened?" And he told them, "Well, you know, what happened was I got my ear cut off by the Spaniards, and the Spaniards took my stuff. They took all my stuff, and they said I'm a bad boy who does bad things. When I'm not a bad boy who does bad things. I'm a good boy. I'm a normal captain for the British fleet, and they took my ear, and I want recompense. I want good two-time and some gun. I want my ear back." And he started crying. But the British Parliament announced this to the public, and public outrage really grew at this. At the time, Spain was already in the bad graces of the British Empire because they've had wars on and off of them for probably over 100 years at this point. But it was really growing in tension because in North America, they had a thing going on called King George's War, which was backed by the French and the Spanish to essentially have Native Americans go and attack different colonies for the British in the Americas. And so it became this bigger part of a smaller part of this bigger conflict called King George's War. But this whole series of events that happened spread into the Caribbean and North America, and it ended without any major territorial changes. So there wasn't anything gained for a part of this. It really ended with a lot of bloodshed that compounded. I mean, let me just go back here. I got to find my casualty list because I know I have one on here. But the amount of casualties that this war had was staggering compared to some of the other ones that we were researching. Let me pull up I have it somewhere written down here. Sorry, give me 1 second, y'all. But the casualty rates for these were kind of insane at the time. Wait 1 second. I thought I had it written down here somewhere. I thought I did, but I guess I didn't. Oh well. Okay, well, that's odd. Oh, here it is. Sorry about that. I was on another page. Okay, so for this one, it was 25,000 British casualties and about 5 to 10,000 Spanish casualties during this little war, because it also merged into the War of Austrian Succession after that. So it became a very big part of a smaller conflict. And then that smaller conflict became a part of a war, and then that war became a bigger war. But that typically happens at these points in history. If there's tensions high between two different groups of people, usually if they have a war between each other for a smaller reason, and then they have a bigger war for another reason, it kind of gets lumped into that and wrapped in. But and as for the pastry war, it was actually 200 to 300 Mexican casualties versus 30 French casualties. So I wanted to share that with you all as well. Fun fact. All right. Have fun, Amphi. Bye-bye. All right. So let's head on to our next spot here, which is the Kettle War. The Kettle War is an interesting one. A lot of wars last for years, and some last for minutes. The Kettle War falls into the latter category. So in 1784, the Holy Roman Empire tried to block the Dutch Republic from using the Scheldt River for trade. Scheldt River is a very important river for trading to the Dutch, and if they don't have access to that river, it's hard for them to get their goods across. The Dutch responded by sending a warship to challenge the blockade. When the Dutch fired their first cannonball at the ships, and the Dutch ship that shot the first shot was called De Dolphin. They fired one cannonball, which hit the soup kettle of the warship Le Louis, to which the Le Louis turned around and ran away. Excuse me, it surrendered, and then the other two ships that were with it turned around and ran away. So they captured the Le Louis and kept it. And then the Holy Roman Empire ships retreated, and they said, "Okay, we're not blockading this anymore." Fun fact: the Holy Roman Empire at this time was controlled by mostly the Austrians, specifically the Habsburgs. The Austrians really decided that surrendering was the best option, and ended the conflict almost immediately. So the war was decided by a well-placed shot at a cooking pot. Fun fact. Before 9th of August or October 1784, we will yeet those pesky Dutchies out of the Scheldt once and for all. October 9th, 1784. They hurt our soup. Very good. All right, we're to talk about the War of the Oaken Bucket now. In 1325, a war broke out between the Italian city-states of Bologna and Modena. What was the cause of this? Well, a lot of people say it's a wooden bucket. Obviously, after watching the video and what I told you about, it's actually not a bucket that caused it. It was previous tensions from a larger struggle between the Holy Roman Empire and the Pope about papal investiture and who controls which side, which then led to even more conflicts throughout the region going forward. However, in 1325, the Bolognese go across into Medinan territory, and they raid and pillage these farms. They take everything, and then they burn down the farmland. They head back. They're laughing. They got their new bucket, chilling, pristine, nice-looking bucket. And the Modenese said, "Oh, hell no, you're not getting away with that." The Modenese stand up. They walk forward. They go to this base, this fortress that they have, and the guy who's running the fortress is like, "Oh, you guys are Modenese? I actually am with the imperial side of this conflict, so I'm going to give you guys this fort, and you guys are more than welcome to stay." And so after they lost that, the Bolognese declared war, which led to the Battle of Zappolino. And the Battle of Zappolino was outside of another fort, in which the Bolognese army, they counter their adversaries in this war by heading north, faking an attack, and then going back down to the south side, and then overrunning their position in the south, which then leads to the northern forces having to come down on a hasty mission, like a hasty move outside of this fortress. They're very beleaguered. They're very tired. They haven't set up anything just yet. And so what ends up happening is they send all these dudes at the Bolognese that are just now recovering, and they start charging their lines, and they're fighting. The Bolognese are outnumbering them like 2-1 or something crazy like that. It's a pretty heavy disadvantage that the Modenese are at. However, the Modenese have a very good cavalry, so they send the cavalry up north across this river and another river, and they go in from the backside. They hit the Bolognese in the back with their cavalry. The cavalry pushes them out, and the Bolognese, seeing that they're now flanked and surrounded, at least in some of their eyes, end up leaving, and they run away back to Bologna. Once they're outside of Bologna, the Modenese spy a bucket for a nice little city well. The city well has a very nice bucket. It's very clean, very pristine for the time. And they say, I'm taking that. That's my bucket now. And so they take the bucket. And it's in one of the pettiest moves after they declare that the war is over, and they have these reparations paid to them from the Bolognese, and the Bolognese get their forts back from the Modenese. The Modenese say, we're taking your bucket, we're keeping the bucket. That's what we're keeping. And so they kept it on display at their cathedral for many years, and then they moved it into the city hall, where it still stands today. That is a picture of the bucket right there on the left side of the screen. On the right side of the screen is a little meme that I thought would be funny to add in. This is not funny. You burned all of our crops and ravaged our lands. And then Bologna says, okay, well, you're the one who stole my bucket. Good one. Very good one. But let's move on. There we go. The Pig War. Another oversimplified video that he did, which I thought was pretty good. He did one on the Pig War. So in 1859, a pig almost caused a war between the United States and British-controlled Canada. On San Juan Island, which is outside of the island of Victoria, or Vancouver Island. It's on the west side of the United States, upper northwest side. It's in between Washington and British Columbia. There's a series of islands. One of them, the biggest one, is called San Juan Island. San Juan Island was a place where there was a lot of dispute over who owned what territory, because the British and the Canadians were like, well, we own this part because we've had a farm here for a certain amount of years, and the Americans were like, well, we own this because this is our land because we've been here for so long, and we've had farms on these other islands. This island is a part of that, and if we split them up, they look weird, and it's a weird border. And so a lot of American settlers started moving to these islands too, and they started having issues with the British settlers that are already there. And so what ends up happening is there's a farm that an American guy owns, and Americans being Americans, they are entitled to a Second Amendment right. And on the frontier, you never know what's going to attack you. So he, being an island man, farming potatoes, he is sitting there diligently tending his crops. He goes in for a minute to go eat, comes back outside after hearing rooting around, and he sees a pig, a very big fat pig. And this big fat pig is eating all of his hard-earned, or his hard-made potatoes. He's rooting them out of the ground. He's eating them up. He's like, well, I'm not going to have any food if I don't get this pig out of here. So what he does is he aims his trusty musket at the pig and sends a giant 50 caliber ball right through the damn pig's skull and kills it, to which he then eats the pig. The pig's owner is a British citizen and demanded compensation for this. When the American refused, tensions flared up on the island, causing fighting between residents of the island, and lots of letters got sent back and forth. This is actually very close to becoming like one of the biggest, most important events in American history, actually, because this would have led to a third war with Britain, which may have turned the tide for a number of it would have changed our history for a number of reasons. Number one, you're fighting a war with Britain at this time. I don't know if it galvanizes or it rips apart the United States because it's 1859 at this point, right? So we're 2 years away from the Civil War. Not only that, but we're also during this war, you have people like Pickett. You have people like the Admiral of the Navy at this time was Winifred Scott, Winifred Dred Scott, Winifred Dred Scott. Yeah, Dred Scott, whichever one. I forget what his name is, but I think that's right. Hang on, let me make sure. Pig War U.S. Admiral. I gotta make sure I have his name written down. I didn't write this down because I thought I would be able to remember it, but it slipped my mind. So Robert Lambert Baines is the British admiral, but there is another admiral. What is the name of the U.S. admiral? Who is very important in this struggle, and I forget what his name is. He is the big... I'm just gonna look up Civil War admiral. Not Farragut. Maybe it was the CSA? No, because that was Franklin Buchanan. I'm pretty sure it's Dred Scott. I'm pretty sure Dred Scott's the guy. I'm almost 100% certain of it. But let me check one thing real quick. It's George Pickett. Silas Casey is the other one. And William S. Harney. But Scott comes in and stops it with Baines because Baines wanted to start a war, and so did Pickett and Casey and Harney. And then Scott comes in at the last second and is like, what the hell are you guys doing? You're causing a war over a stupid fucking pig. There's no point in having that. Why in the world are we doing this? Just get back to being who we are. We're friendly neighbors. Like, why in the world are you guys causing this huge debacle over a fucking pig? And so he ends up intervening and really kind of simmers things down. But what should have been a really small dispute escalated as both nations sent warships and troops to the island ready for battle. And, I mean, if you don't have this simmer down, 2 years later you have the Civil War, which splits your forces. CSA might have won the Civil War because of that. Most of your navy's on the west side of the coast because you're having to fight the British Navy now. If they don't absolutely get destroyed by the British Navy at this time, which could have happened because our Navy was not as good as the British Navy at this time. You could have seen the Brits go inside with the CSA during their war, which could have led to an overthrow or maybe another concession from us to the British on this island. I mean, this could have been a huge turning point for a multitude of reasons, but it ends up simmering down, thankfully, right before the Civil War starts. And after months of negotiation, peaceful resolutions reached. There's no shots fired. There's no bloodshed except for the pig. And thankfully, that's the only casualty of this war. And he did not get a diplomatic solution. So there you go. There's that. After that, we have another lovely little war called the War of the Stray Dog. Oh, also, I meant to say, during the War of the Oaken Bucket, it was actually about 2,000 to 3,000 casualties at the Battle of Zappolino. So there's another big one. Wanted to touch on that. But this other one that we're talking about right now, this is a border conflict between the Greeks and the Bulgarians. So in 1925, a Greek soldier crosses the border into Bulgaria. So what's the reason? Well, his dog, who he's had for several years at this point, has run across into the Bulgarian side of the fence. He doesn't realize that he's chasing after his dog. He doesn't know where he's at. He kind of just goes across. He's trying to get his dog. The Bulgarian border guards see the soldier running after it, and they shoot him, which sparks this huge international crisis. And the Greeks get informed of this. They can't get his body. They only have, what they saw to go off of. They don't know what the reasoning for it is. They just see a Bulgarian guy shoot a Greek after he crosses the border. And the escalated situation turns into what we now know as the War of the Stray Dog in 1925. And for days, Greeks and Bulgarian troops clash. Tensions keep running higher and higher. And this is like a precursor. This is the first big event after World War I to my knowledge, that really tests like the League of Nations out to see if it can be like a force for good or if it's going to be like something that's not going to happen. And so everybody tries to make this big show of the League of Nations, and so this is their first chance to do it. They then immediately come to the diplomacy table, right? And they order the Greeks who invaded after this guy was shot to withdraw from Bulgaria. And they do. The Greeks get their soldier back after he's shot. I don't think the dog's ever recovered, actually. I think the dog is just gone. And so there's the end of it. The League of Nations intervenes, orders the Greeks to withdraw. They do. The war's ended with diplomacy, but it still remains as one of the strangest causes of military conflicts to this day. A war started by a lost dog and ended by the League of Nations, which is so odd to me because the League of Nations only stopped like 2 wars ever, and that's one of them. Fun fact also about that war, the dog, or excuse me, not the dog, the casualty rate on that war was pretty high, comparatively speaking to some of these other ones. I think it was between like 200 to 300 soldiers died during that conflict. That was only about, I want to say 25 to 30 days long. I don't even think it was that long. I think it was less than that. It was like 50. It was 50 to 100 Greeks and about 50 more Bulgarians dying in that conflict for a dog crossing a border and then a guy getting shot. It's insane. Some fun facts about this. Obviously not fun facts, but the Greece was fined 45,000 pounds by the League of Nations for invading Bulgaria. Some sources say that the Greek soldier actually tripped and accidentally fired his weapon, which actually caused him to get shot. There were no major battles during this war, and a handful of soldiers were killed before these diplomacy did prevail. What's the moral of the story, guys? And that is, always keep your dog on a leash near borders so that you don't end up getting a war started. Unless it's a border collie. Smile. All right, the Toledo War. One of the, if not the dumbest war that an American has ever been a part of. The Toledo War, which occurred in the 1835 to 1836. In the early 1800s, Michigan and Ohio both claimed a narrow strip of land along their border known as the Toledo Strip. This led to a heated standoff between both states, where they deployed their state's militias. Despite all the tension that happened during this time, the only recorded injury was a Michigan sheriff getting stabbed with a pen knife. Eventually, the U.S. government stepped in and intervened, giving the Toledo Strip to Ohio because they had a map that had it drawn as they owned that prior to the Michigan's claim of that. And they gave Michigan the Upper Peninsula. If you don't know about the Upper Peninsula of Michigan, it's northwest of Michigan. It's above them across a lake. I can't remember which one of the lakes it is.
Good morning to you,
Oh,
teacher.
hello. Welcome in. Thank you for following. Who was that? Miss Dimitrescu. Hello. So they give the Upper Peninsula to Michigan, and they let Ohio have the Toledo Strip. Well, at the end of the day, Michigan actually comes out on top in this deal because the Upper Peninsula has a ton of resources, and no one really knew it at the time. They have lots of lumber. They've got several different important resources that Michigan ends up using to help expand Detroit later on. I think there's like a small like rubber reserve up there or something like that too. There's huge quarries up there. Very interesting time to be alive at this time, but that entire mineral-rich area was given to Michigan over Toledo. Toledo is a small strip of land compared to, I mean, it's already a small strip of land, but compared to the UP, yeah, it's like night and day how much land they got between them. So Michigan and Ohio still have this rivalry going on today. I don't know if you guys watch sports, but big thing that happens in sports for these guys is a little thing called Michigan State. Michigan Wolverines versus the Ohio State Buckeyes. That's a huge fight in college football. Always a big deal in the states whenever they play. And still to this day, there is a battle. I think it's Toledo and another. I think Central Michigan have another rivalry like that too. Something like that. Maybe Southern Michigan. I can't remember which other school is like that too. But all their teams always play each other. They're all part of the MAC or they're part of the Big 12 or Big 10. So lots of stuff like that. And I made a little meme up here, or I put a little meme up here. Upper Peninsula, federal government, Michigan. Stop fighting over Ohio. Or start fighting Ohio over Toledo, please. All right, let's go to our next one. The Emu War, Ampy's favorite war, happened in 1932. Australia versus emus. We covered this in a past lesson, and if you want to watch that lesson, it is on YouTube. So if you click on the YouTube link that gets posted every like 15 to 20 minutes, you can go and watch that. I think I just uploaded it. If I didn't just upload it, it'll be uploaded next week. I can't remember. I'm sorry. I'm a little bit stupid. So one of the most bizarre military campaigns in history, the Emu War took place in Australia in 1932 after World War I. Emus began overrunning Western Australia farmlands and destroying crops, frustrating farmers, leading to the farmers asking the government to do something about it. The government responds after years and years of begging by deploying soldiers who are armed with machine guns to take down the birds. However, the emus prove to be highly resilient. Their speed, agility, and ability to scatter in groups made them almost impossible to target effectively by the machine guns. After weeks of effort, with thousands of bullets fired and minimal success, the military ultimately withdrew. The emus had effectively won the war, cementing their place in history as one of the only non-human species to defeat a trained military force, leading to total emu victory. This is such an embarrassment to the Australians that even to this day, they hate this being brought up in conversation. It's one of their least favorite things that they ever have to hear about. Please remind them of it constantly, because it's very funny to me whenever I hear this shit. So, just a reminder for you all. So some emus can actually run up to 40 miles per hour, which is faster than the soldiers expected. So at one point during this conflict, they actually strap a Lewis machine gun to the top of a car, and they borrow it from a local. And the local's like, I don't know how well it's going to run. So they strap this machine gun up to the top of it, and they start driving it through the wilderness, the Australian outback, and it's very rocky and like bumpy. And so the suspension at this time is not very good. And so whenever they're shooting the machine gun, it's like going like, they're like shooting up and down, left, right. And it's like bouncing all over the place. So they're not able to effectively target the emus while they're chasing them. So they just waste like thousands of rounds trying to do this. There was actually a government official that later suggested giving medals to the emus for their tactical brilliance. Farmers were eventually allowed to have weapons and build better fences instead of trying to shoot the emus, but their weapons are also used against them now. And there's a bounty program that's out still to this day on emus out west. So let's move on to our next little group. And this is called the Football War. Football War is a very interesting little war that happens. This is probably a slightly... this got pretty bad to the point where this was used as a pretext for another war later in the 70s between these two countries. But a lot of the times, right, where we think of sports, specifically like soccer or something like that, we think, it unites nations, right? 1969, it actually did the opposite. The football war between El Salvador and Honduras was the result of a long-standing economic and migration tension, which then led to a pivotal game in which I believe it was El Salvador needed to win in order to get into the FIFA World Cup. Honduras had already solidified their place, or if it's not that, it's the other one. And what ends up happening is there's this very controversial call that happens where they're allowed a penalty kick, and I think, if I'm remembering this right, or something, it leads to one of them scoring a goal, right? El Salvador wins the match due to this little controversial decision. Super fiercely contested. It was a pretty close game, if I remember. I think it was like 3-2 or 2-1 or something like that. But the World Cup qualifier is what this is, right? That's what it kicks it off. After El Salvador won the decisive match, relations between the two nations collapsed. Within days, El Salvador launched a military invasion of Honduras. The war lasted only about 100 hours, with hundreds killed before the ceasefire was brokered. And the reason why this is because there was border conflicts between different peoples after the game. There was a big football hooliganism thing that was going on at the time. It still is to this day to a point. But these two nations love soccer. They love soccer. And so whenever you have two nations that have a love of soccer, they have a lot of football hooligans, it tends to lead to very dangerous consequences, especially for this instance. They played 2 games, or 3 games rather. They played 3 games for the World Cup qualifier. The first one took place on June 8th of 1969. Honduras won 1-0 in Tegucigalpa, which led to riots by Salvadorian fans. And June 15th, 1969, El Salvador won 3-0 in San Salvador with a dirty rag flown instead of the Honduran flag. And then El Salvador and Honduras played in Mexico City, and El Salvadorians won 3-2 in extra time, ending the best of 3 series to qualify for the World Cup. That's what it was. There you go. On June 26th, El Salvador actually severed diplomatic ties with Honduras before the game. It was 2 days before the game. And then on July 14th, El Salvador's armed forces invaded Honduras. And then in July of 1969, the Organization of American States, or the OAS, calls for a ceasefire and military withdrawals between the two nations. And I'm pretty sure to this day, they still have a lot of tensions between those two nations. El Salvador today is a little bit different. It's obviously had like a huge political revolution, I think, recently. Had a lot of different peoples coming in and going. But the pretense for this actually led to another war that happens later on, which I believe the other war was an even bloodier conflict in the 70s, and it was, what was it called? It was called the Salvadorian Civil War. That's what it was. So El Salvador has a civil war of its own against the FMLN and the Salvadorian government, in which the what do they call it? The armed forces of El Salvador are restructured, and there's like a huge national police presence and like all this other stuff, but it leads to changes, right? So I think Duarte is the name of the guy, which is funny because there's another Duarte now in Philippines. But it's another one of those like proxy wars that the U.S. fights in the Cold War, but this is like one of them. And the reason for that is because they're like, you just declared war on a nation for us, essentially because we won a football game. It makes no sense. Why in the world did you do that? And they're like, but we won the football game though, and we won the war though, even though it made us look like assholes to the rest of the international community. They're like, yeah, we want to change. We want to change the government. So very interesting little tidbit of history there. But the casualty rate of this war was 900 Salvadorian casualties to 2,000 Honduran casualties. It lasted for about 100 hours, which is why it's also called the 100-hour war. And it was primarily just air raids and ground skirmishes. There weren't any like naval battles or any large-scale battles outside of the initial hours of the conflict happening. All right, so the Lihar War. The Lihar War is very symbolic. In 1883, the people of Lihar, which is a tiny Spanish town, Spanish village rather, were very outraged when they heard French citizens allegedly insulting their king Alfonso XII. Their response was to declare war on France. So, now you might think, wow, a little town is that strong that they're going to be able to do something? Well, Lihar, Spain is not really that big. And I don't think the French ever even heard about this. It's clearly symbolic, and it was like so funny because it's like on the border of like, or excuse me, not on the border. It's like very far like southeast of Spain, which it would make more sense if like, yeah, like Barcelona or like one of those other areas like declared war, like Catalonia or like Navarre or somewhere like that, like maybe a region declares war. But like Lihar is so far south, it makes no sense. I don't know where they heard this the insults from. I think they were coming from like tourists or something like that. So they end up declaring war on France. France is like never hearing of this, and so what ends up happening is for like the time period between 1883 and 1981, this tiny ass village has a petty rivalry with France. They hate the French. They like remove every French influence that they can think of. They don't really do anything with France. There was no shots fired at all. There was no shots fired. There were no soldiers deployed. Life in Lahar really continued as normal after like the first initial years of them declaring war on France. And for nearly a century, the war remained in effect until 1981, when local officials finally declared peace with France, and thus the Lahar War ended. The Lahar War is one of the most peaceful wars in history and proves that sometimes war is just a matter of paperwork. And speaking of paperwork, there is one other thing that happened with this little, with a similar type of war, and that was the 335-year war. Again, as we talked about before, a lot of times wars can last for days, weeks, years, maybe a couple of decades. This one lasted over 3 centuries. During the English Civil War, the Netherlands decided that they were going to declare war on the Isles of Scilly, which are off the coast of England in 1651 due to unresolved naval disputes and them declaring war against the king. However, the conflict was quickly forgotten about, as no one ever sent any troops to either side during the war. And it remained technically active for all that time. It wasn't until a historian stumbled upon the declaration in 1980 that the officials recognized or the 1980s, sorry, that the officials actually realized that peace had never been declared. So in 1986, Dutch diplomats and Scilly officials signed a formal peace treaty, officially ending what was considered to be the longest war in history and the least deadly war in history, with 0 casualties. There is a lot of debate as to whether the historian was accurate in his findings, because there's not really been anything that's shown that there was a war declaration by either side. And this is kind of like one of those things I was talking to you about, like that we hear that this was like a thing, but we don't really know. And historians kind of like take it at face value once they hear another historian say it, kind of like the Dark Ages or whatever. Scilly was at war, but wasn't at war. There's a lot of debate on whether the war ended with England signing a formal peace between during the War of the Roses, or the English Civil War, rather. And a lot of people don't really know how that works or how it worked out. They just kind of did it as like a symbolic gesture, essentially, at the end of the day. So it's so weird because this historian just randomly came across it. And you would think, like, after 335 years, like, maybe there would have been someone who said, you know, there's still like a war going on between the Dutch and Scilly. I don't know. It's kind of odd. But it's one of those things in history, dude. You never know. All right, let's move on. The Battle of Sebes. Now, most of these are wars, but I did want to touch on a battle that happened because this is one of the most absurd military blunders in history. The Battle of Sebes occurred in 1788 during a war between the Austrian Empire and the Ottoman Empire. The Austrian army managed to defeat itself before the enemy even arrived at the battle. It started when a group of Austrian soldiers bought alcohol from local merchants in the town of Canabraris, which they then started to consume and partake in, leading to a large party. And when their fellow troops wanted some and were refused, a fight broke out. In the confusion, in the huge fight that was happening between the Austrians, somebody shouted out, "Oh, the Turks are attacking! The Turks are attacking! The Turks are coming!" Which caused widespread panic. People were dying in various ways, including stampeding, including shooting each other. A lot of the troops shot into their own people because they didn't know who was who, which is funny to me because they all had like the same uniforms on by this time. By the time that the Ottomans actually showed up during this battle, The Austrian army had already suffered hundreds of casualties, which were all self-inflicted, and they were so distraught and like out of it that the Ottomans ended up wiping the floor with them. And it really shows like how important that communication and friendly fire is in a war like that. But the Austrian army doing that is so funny to me because it's like I can't think of another example like that in history that where it's like I'm gonna attack this group of people that have a completely different uniform than me, have a completely different the bucket. Dude, you already missed the War of the Bucket and the Australian Emu War. Okay. Get back onto your Burger King crown. I'm trying my hardest, dude. I'm trying my hardest. But the Austrian army doing this is so funny because there's only like a few instances like this in history. And it's very rare that you see like an actual army fighting itself, leading to a bigger army falling over and kind of dying. The entire thing broke out because a bunch of drunk Austrian soldiers got drunk and then started fighting each other. That's the end of the day. That's what happened. Also, welcome into Vajra and Yap. Thank you for coming. It's ant colony kind of fighting, real. But I think if I'm remembering this right, I think the Austrians end up regrouping, and I think they actually win this war. I can't remember what the war is, but I think they do win this war because I think this is the last push that they have into Europe as a army for the Ottomans. All right, so next one is the Anglo-Zanzibar War of 1896, which holds the record for the shortest war in history, lasting between 38 and 45 minutes. It all started when the Sultan of Zanzibar died, and his successor, Khalid bin Barakash, took the throne against British wishes. Britain demanded that he step down, but he refused. In response, the British warships came to his palace and sent an envoy, which demanded he step down yet again. He said no again, and in response, the British warships bombarded his palace, quickly overwhelming his forces, and within an hour, the war was over, and a British-approved sultan was installed. That is a picture of what they did to the sultan's palace during that bombardment. That is an actual picture of that. Though brief, this war does showcase that the overwhelming military power of the British Empire at the time and remains a fascinating footnote in military history. Fun fact about that battle as well, there were about 500 plus Zanzibar casualties, but there was one British soldier who got injured from shrapnel. 38 to 45 minutes, 500 to 1 casualty rate is insane. Also, for the last battle, it was about 1,200 Austrian casualties, and a lot of them were self-inflicted, by the way. So, fun fact. Outside of that, though, the British fired 500 plus shells, shot over 4,000 rounds of machine gun ammo, and over 1,000 bullets from rifles in a short time between 38 and 45 minutes. As I said, the Sultan tried to escape, but was captured shortly after the war, and it actually does hold the Guinness World Record for the shortest war ever. That is a fun fact in history. All right, the Lobster War of 1961 to 1963. There's two of these. There's an English and it's like a British American Lobster War too, if I'm remembering right. But this one's important because this is the one that a lot of people know as the Lobster War. I just wanted to talk about that because I saw a book called Lobster War that was British and American flagged. What happens after two nations argue about seafood? The Lobster War is what ensues. It was a dispute between French and Brazilians over lobster fishing rights. French boats were catching lobsters off Brazil's coast, leading to a bizarre legal argument. French claimed that lobsters swam like fish and could be freely caught in international waters, while Brazil countered that lobsters walking along the seabed made them a part of its own territorial waters. Tensions then escalated, and it led to Brazil sending out warships to confront the French fishing vessels. However, diplomacy prevailed before actual fighting broke out between these two nations, and the French eventually withdrew. And there's actually a second thing that happened not too shortly after this called the Cod Wars, which were between Iceland and England And those two events actually led to international boundaries getting drawn for what are your waters and what is international waters. That is a UN thing. And I can't remember how far it is. I think it's like, I want to say it's like 100 miles off your coast, I think, or something like that, or 30 miles or 30. I can't remember how far it is actually off your coast that you still are in your waters. But at a certain point, you get into international waters, and that's where you can freely fish. What does Anglo even mean? English involvement? Yeah, Anglo is English. So Anglo-Saxon, that is what the old term for Brits are. It's a different group of people, but Anglo-Saxons are English people. So English is what Anglo means. Kind of like how Sino is Chinese. That's Sino. Sino. And then Russo is Russian. Russo. So you have like the Russo-Sino War or the Sino-Russian War. You have the Russo-Japanese War, and you have like the Sino-Japanese War. But after that all got finished, the Brazilians won, and a lot of diplomacy settled down. And a lot of people ask, why were the French that far over there? Well, if you know about South America, there's a small French settlement over there called French Guinea, which is like French Guyana, which is like north of Brazil. It's like a little tiny sliver, but a lot of the French fishing vessels used to go on the coast in the north, which is where a lot of the lobsters in that area are at, and they would fish there very frequently, and they would get a lot of lobster because the French love lobster. They love their food, don't they, folks? All right, and here we're going to talk about our last battle of the evening. The War of the Golden Stool. In 1900, the British Empire made a major mistake. They demanded the sacred golden stool of the Ashanti people in Ghana. The stool, seen as the very soul of the Ashanti nation, was never meant to be sat on by a foreign ruler. When British Governor Frederick Hodgson arrogantly demanded its surrender so that he may sit on it, the Ashanti launched a fierce rebellion, which ended up spreading throughout a large part of British-controlled Africa. Though the British eventually suppressed the uprising, they never managed to capture the golden stool itself. It was successfully hidden from colonial forces. They grossly underestimated how much the stool meant to the Ashanti, and I think that guy got let go after that. Hodgson did, for his mistake. It's still, to this day, a powerful symbol of Ashanti pride. I don't know where it's at today. I think it's on display. I think this is what it looks like. It's on display somewhere. I can't remember where it is, though. But the War of the Golden Stool is remembered as a symbolic fight against colonial rule, proving that some treasures hold far more than just material value. All right. So here's our conclusion. Oh, wait. Whoops. Oh, no, I messed that up. No, I typed that in the wrong thing. Ah! No! I typed that in the wrong thing, guys. I'm so sorry. I meant to have another thing for that. Oh, no. Okay, we're going to talk about the conclusion, and then we'll have our Q&A. I actually meant to put that in the Q&A. All right, so our final takeaway is that history proves that wars can start for the most bizarre of reasons. From animals to food, misunderstandings to misplaced pride, these conflicts teach us that humanity can be both ridiculous and fascinating. So, with that being said, I'm going to have the Q&A portion, I guess, now. Does anybody have any questions or comments about what we've read or studied today? Furthermore, from that, let me go over here and ask this question. Class, what would you go to war for? What is something you would go to war for? Would you go to war to combat the evil pineapple on pizza epidemic that is sweeping the nation? Would you go to war for a Costco card? How about for Skibbity Toilet? Can we go? What type of war would you fight in? I'm declaring war on Max. Who's in? You're gonna get bitch slapped back down to your place, big dog. You fuck with me, boy. You ain't gonna do shit. No. So what would you guys actually go to war for? Is it like something? Is there a line that you would have to meet in order to go to war? Or is it something that you could never imagine going to war for? Or is there something silly that you would go to war for? Would you go to war for, like, I don't know, pizza? Would you go to war for a certain type of pizza? Maybe not pineapple pizza, but meat lovers pizza or something like that? Pepperoni? Sausage? Margarita? What would you guys go to war for, actually? I'm curious. And while we're talking about that also, are you curious about any of the wars that I talked about? Do you have any questions about any of the conflicts that we covered tonight? Do you have a strange war of your own to share that maybe I didn't cover? I'll enlist to annex Canada. That's crazy. Go to war if they ban anime. Oh, that's real. That's real, dude. I'd go to war. I'd go to war with who's with me on that one. War is all I think about. That's crazy. Share any bizarre conflicts that you know about. If you have anything that you want to share with us, you can go ahead. And if you guys want to discuss anything that we talked about today, or you have any questions, please feel free to go ahead and ask. Ask away. This thing was a little bit hastily put together. I'm not gonna lie. I think it does serve as a fun little reminder of what's going on here. But the big one that I think about of what I would fight for, actually, is I would fight for I'm going to war for Hatsune Miku, dude. I'm going to war for Shinzo Sasageo for fucking Hatsune Miku, dude. I would kill for Hatsune Miku. And I did kill Hatsune Miku in Fortnite. Multiple times. God bless Miku. So real. I'd go to war for Miku, dude. Are you kidding me? So real for that, King. Thank you. Thank you all so much. I appreciate that. Thank you. I'm glad I'm not foolish enough. Would you call slaughter in a football field a war? No. That's an atrocity. That's what I would call it. Probably a genocide, depending on if it's motivated for a certain reason. I don't think that's really a war. Unless you're talking about an actual killing of in terms of like an actual like football match, like a soccer match, then it still isn't a war. It's a drumming. Also for the Oaken Bucket and Emu Wars, we did cover that already. Yeah, but War of the Oaken Bucket, I'm sorry to break your bubble. It wasn't over a bucket. It was over papal investiture. I'm sorry to break your burst your bubble on that. I broke your little heart. My friend told me Europe isn't a real continent. I asked him to explain himself, and he said Europe and Asia share the same tectonic plate and doesn't follow the definition. A tectonic plate, I think you mean. Doesn't follow the definition of a continent. So Europe is just a part of Asia. That's why it's called Eurasia. My thoughts on that is that's a silly thing to say because a continent is not based off of tectonic plates. Continents are based off of cultural differences, as well as actually there's a huge thing that I wrote down somewhere. Give me 2 seconds. Let me find it. I have a beautiful lesson from an old history teacher of mine. Excuse me, an old geography teacher of mine. I have this beautiful little thing that he wrote down here. Let me read this real quick. Where's it at? So, lingua franca, development, geography. Where is it at? I have it written down somewhere here. This is from an old lesson I was. What's to say Asia isn't part of Europe? It isn't a part of Europe. The Ural Mountains separate it. There are some countries that are very culturally similar, like Georgia. They are culturally similar, and they are not just culturally similar, but they are similar in terms of what do you call it? Ethnicity and stuff like that. But to say that Asia and Europe are the same place is so weird to me because I don't understand why that would not make any sense because it just doesn't. Geographic taxonomy just doesn't work like that. That's not how it works. There's I'm trying to read and find this thing. I'm so sorry. There's like this huge thing that he talked about because someone asked that in our class too, and he gave a good explanation. I wrote it down. like every single region is based around its ethnic background, its religious background, its what do you call it? It's not genetic makeup. What is the term I'm trying to look for? Ethnic, cultural, religiosity, and language backgrounds are like the things that make it so. It's not always just, oh, this continent is shared a tectonic plate, so that therefore it's that. Because if that's the case, then there are certain parts of South and North America that would have to be their own continents because they're not on the same tectonic plate. They're on different parts of the tectonic plate. And every tectonic plate does not need a continent because there's not enough people on those. There is a huge Latin influence in the middle of Europe, which spreads out and reaches to far parts of it. Now, on the other side of that, you have the Cyrillic alphabet, which touches a large portion of Eastern Europe. Those two are the real only language systems that you have aside from Runic and like northern Germanic tribes like Norway, Denmark, and Finland and Scandinavia. Like just Scandinavia in general, really. Then like you also have to think about like if that's the case, then where does Iceland fall in that? Because they're too far from Europe to become a part of Europe and be a part of that tectonic plate, but they're also too far away from North America to become that tectonic plate. Like are they their own? Are they their own little like nation, like continent? Because I still disagree with the premise that Australia is its own continent. I disagree with that premise because I feel like Oceania is more connected and a part of that culture than having Australia on its own as its own thing. Because where does New Zealand fit into that? Where does Fiji fit into that? Where did Tonga fit into that? Is Tonga going to be a part of Asia? Because it's not Asian in culture. It's Polynesian. It's Samoan. It's a completely different culture and a completely different set of like genetic makeup, language, like where they're coming from. Like it's a whole thing. A lot of people say Oceania is its own thing. This is like a debated topic, right? But in terms of geography, whenever you split up places like that, it's usually for a few reasons. So I know I didn't give it the greatest explanation, but to say that Asia and Europe are the same place, or saying that they shouldn't be, like Europe shouldn't be its own continent because Asia exists, is a bit silly to me. Trying to find this stupid thing so I can tell you. Cultural landscape, that's not it. Global core. Global periphery. Shoot. But yeah, it's like a regional geography thing, right? There's like shared geography, there's shared culture, shared everything. Like if you're gonna make that, then like why is North and South America not, like why are they not the same continent? Because they're connected. Like why is the Middle East not its own continent? Because they have a different tectonic plate. Like there's a lot of things that you could say that like make sense, I guess, from a point, but then they don't really make sense whenever you look at them from like a drilled down perspective from that. Asia covers more land area, so Asia dominates. My friend, when I asked the same question, that doesn't make any sense because more land area doesn't mean anything because Russia is a European country at its core. Now, Siberia and Eastern Russia are very Asian. They're Asian peoples. They're Asian cultures. There's Asian language, which is why the Stans, which used to be a part of the USSR, are all Asian nations. But at the same time, I don't consider anything east of the Ural Mountains a part of Europe. It just isn't. They're different people. They're completely different people. That's why you have the steppes. There's cultural barrier, or excuse me, there's physical barriers that prevented people from getting across from one area to another. Like you have the Amazon rainforest in the northern part of South America, which stopped people from going into South America from Central and North America. Now they didn't completely get rid of people going into North and South America because there's movement between those two places whenever you have like the Aztecs, the Incans, and the Mayans and everything like that in there. But if you're talking about like from that perspective, like there's steppe tribes. The reason why the steppe tribes are called the steppe tribes is because they're from the Asian steppes and then they came over the Ural Mountains or through the Caspian Sea, or they came around through Anatolia and through Turkey into Europe as we now know it today. So, I mean, there's mobility, and I'm not saying that peoples can't move and then change, because if you look at the Magyar are an Asian people who then moved and migrated into Europe. But if we're going that far back into history to look at how continents are solved, I don't think that really makes much sense from a distinguishing perspective for that, if that makes sense. I hope I explained it well enough. I don't feel like I did, but I'm sorry, because I kind of unprepared for that question. But if you give me some time, I could probably like answer it a little bit better. Because I swear to God, I have like a thing here that talked to me about. It was like ethical, not ethical. It was like interdependency or something like that between areas causes them to become their own continents or something like that. I'm so sorry, I don't have this answer drilled in already. My fault, young slime. But anyways, that's my hot take on it. I don't think so. I think there should be the existing continents. I think Australia should be turned into Oceania, and it should be included in that. And then I think there should maybe be like maybe its own continent, maybe the Middle East, because I feel like it's significantly different from the rest of Asia. That's my hot take, though. I think anything from the Suez to the what do you call it? The Straits of Bosphorus, and then out east to the Caucasus should be probably its own continent. I think that would be its own. They share too much. There's too much shared similar like tendencies and things that they do that makes it so that they don't really fit in with either side. And I feel like that is to the detriment of those people, if that makes sense. But 52nd state, bruh. What's to say Asia is a part of Europe? Well, it's not. I say so. So that means I'm always right. No, I'm joking. The actual continent is Oceania, isn't it? No, it is not. I think actually in terms of, I think like scholarly sources, I think it is Oceania, but it taught in schools, taught in a majority of places. I don't even think in academia it's not necessarily only Oceania. I think it's only in like geography dork circles, because it's the same thing about like having like, do we have 4 major oceans, or do we have 5, or do we have 6 major oceans? Because there's a difference between having the instructions unclear, Canada joining USA and completing the continent. Yeah, okay. We'll see how that works. Going back in history sounds too much. Imagine a debate getting progressively back to history only for everyone to agree we originated from monkeys. Yeah, I mean, this is like the inevitable like thing that I love talking about with like people who are like they're not like the greatest at like history. It's like very funny to me whenever they're like, well, back in this day, these people lived here. And I was like, yeah, and before that was these people. Like, do we want to give these people back their land? Like, is that what we're doing? Like, are we talking like specifically like Asia and Europe too? Because like Asian people moved from Asia into North America via the not the steppes. What is it called? The Bering Sea, at the ice bridge or whatever up north. So they walked across that. So it's like, is North America now Asian because there was like Asiatic peoples that came through? Well, it's like, no, because they're not the same as Asian people now. They're just not. They're descendants of them, yes, but they're not the same people. Versus like another one is like the Magyars or like the Huns or like the Goths who came from the east. And then they came out west to Western Europe and then settled these territories. Like, are the Goths like a people now? Like, what's going on? Now, we're talking about a little bit different thing. We're talking about going back too far in history starts making it sound like a like if you're trying to define like people specifically, like it's so funny to me whenever I hear people talk about, well, back in history, this people lived here and this is like their rightful thing and this, that, and the other. It's like, okay, well, if that's the case, then like, what about the people who moved out of those areas prior to that? Like, are they entitled to come back and claim it since it used to be theirs? Like, how does that work? Because if you get into that semantics, you get into that level of semantics, right? People start pulling from historical relevancy has its place for certain argumentation, but the you know, how far back is it that we go until historical relevancy doesn't matter? Like, how far back are we going? Like, is it the older the people are in that area, the more claim they have to this place? Or is it the longer they've lived in that place, the more claim they have? Or is it that maybe they don't have a claim at all because it's the original owners? Because if that's the case, then we should have, you know, like gorillas and monkeys be owning like certain parts of different places. It makes no sense. Historically, they lived there, but like you can't use that logic on a house. The house changes keys. But colonization is just forced eviction. So, yeah, I mean that's another thing, right? It's like I'm not talking about like colonization or anything like that. I'm talking about like specifically migration patterns of people. So before we got into like what we know as like historical like documentation, there's evidence that these people moved from Asia across this Bering Sea like land bridge into America. So, but people aren't claiming that people in North America are Asiatic, or they're Asiatic people, but they're not Asian, if that makes sense. That's what I'm talking about for migration, because there's other things in recorded history that we can talk about with the Goths, the Magyar, the Romani people. Like, there's a lot of people who move across different places, and then nobody ever bats an eye whenever you talk about, like, oh, these people came from here, these people came from here, like, arguing about, like, well, are these people entitled to whatever land that they step foot on now, or is it their old place that they have to go to? It's just funny to me. I don't know. I know it doesn't really have a place of what we're talking about, but it's just, like, funny to me to, like, think about and have that little... It's food for thought, essentially. That's all I'm saying. It's interesting to talk about. But I love how Hatsune Miku's been up here for like 20 straight minutes while we've been yammering on about this shit. It's very funny to me. All right. Any questions? Any more questions, guys? Does anybody have any more questions, thoughts, concerns, comments, anything they want to ask me before we move on? Miku's for everyone. That's so true, King. Miku does not care, regardless of any difference of people, race, religion, creed, culture, whatever thing that you want to claim. Miku is everything. Miku is love. Miku is life, just like Shrek. Anybody have any questions except for the British? Oh wait, hang on. I have a sound clip for this. Hang on. Wait a minute. New sound clip, guys. Wait a minute. If you haven't been to the Max Forge channel, hang on. Not that one. It's where is it? Oh, here we go.
Oh, no. Hatsune Miku does not talk to British people.
There we go. Hatsune Miku does not talk to British people. So true, Miku. All right, well, if there's no more questions, guys, let's move on to our final step of the day, which is our quiz time. Quiz time. It's quiz time. Quiz time. Quiz. All right, guys. If you want to come in to take a quiz, if you would like to answer this, I'm going to put up one thing. We're all going to answer the same questions because I'm testing out how you guys like this. The questions are going to be as follows. Wait, I got to put this over here because I forgot this is the second thing. Whoops. 1 second, guys. All right. Okay. It's going to be multiple choice. So if you guys want to answer, go ahead. Once I get through these, go ahead and answer. All right. Which war lasted less than an hour? Was it A, the Football War? Sorry, I'm typing this down too in chat. Was it B, the Anglo-Zanzibar War? Or was it C, the Lobster War? Go ahead and put your answers here. I'm posting it right there. Which war lasted less than an hour? Was it A, the football war, B, the Anglo-Zanzibar war, or C, the lobster war? And I just realized I typed Zanzibar wrong. All right, B, we got B. We got 2 answers. Any more answers? Any more answers, guys? All right, moving on. For question number 2, which war, or which animal rather, won a war against humans? Is it A, pigeons, B, dogs, or C, emus? I'm going to post that again. Here we go. Which animal won a war against humans? A, pigeons, B, dogs, or C, emus? Oh, quiz, I go now. Yashi, what in the world do you mean you go now? You're supposed to be here the entire time, bruh. I can't believe this. No. Yes. Yes, indeed. You're supposed to be here the entire time. Yashi, where you been, dog? You haven't responded to my damn DMs? No. Yep. Yashi's been out here, dog. I ain't seen Yashi in a hot minute. Strange, you get your weird stream times. You don't respond to DM, and now you're missing the quiz too. I'm lurking. You're not lurking. You're actively chatting now. That's 5 messages in the span of a minute. You're not lurking anymore. That's no longer lurking. Lurk. Oi! Yeah. You tried. At least you tried. You have no lurk command. I know. I need to make one. Unfortunately, I'm a horrible, awful streamer. So I don't have those things. Let's see. All right. So our last question is... what war ended with a soup pot being destroyed? And that's A, the Pig War, B, the Australian Time War, and C, the Kettle War. I'm going to put that in chat in just a second. So that's which war ended with a soup pot being destroyed? Is that A, the Pig War, B, the Australian Time War, or C, the Kettle War? Is there a VTube war? Yeah, it's called Anytime a Niji Sanji sister comes in here into my chat. No, I'm joking. They're fine people. Whenever they're not actively promoting. Never mind, you're going to get me started on a topic. You're going to get me started on a topic that I don't want to go down. There was a war in here earlier. I had to kill someone. You didn't see it, but I did it. All right, see? Oh, we're waiting on Vajra. Kill. Yeah, kill. Yeah, we had to ban someone earlier. AKA killed them. For the first time ever, they were the first banned person on this channel. In chat. First person I had to ban on stream. Crazy. C. Kettle War. All right, let's see how you did. First question was, which war lasted less than an hour? The answer was B. Anglo-Zanzibar War. You both got it right. Second question was, which animal won a war against humans? The answer was C. Emus. Finally, which war ended with a soup pot being destroyed? And that was C. Kettle War. You both got those right as well. That means for the 2 people who took the quiz, you get 100 points. Woo! Yeah, baby. Wait, hang on. Wait a minute. I have something for this. Wait a minute. Hang on, chat. Where is it? Hang on. Wait. Hang on. Here we go. Yeah, hang on. Let me... There you go. You got some golf claps there, guys. Congratulations. You guys have 1-0, but you are at least now a lot smarter than you were 20 minutes ago. Good job to you both. Now, fun fact, guys, we're going to do a tier list. Hooray! Hooray, we're going to do a tier list. Hooray, hooray, hooray. And you guys get to watch me make it. Because, what a beautiful fucking hat. Oh, wait. Where did that come from? How did that turn on? What the fuck? When did that turn on? Why did that turn on? That was weird. That was not supposed to turn on. All right, we're going to go do a tier list now. So you guys are going to watch me do this tier list here. Hang on one second. I'm going to turn this off for a second. 1 second here, guys. All right. Wait. That's not right. Where's the stupid tier list thing? Oh, here it is. Okay, here we go. Put that up over there. Put that up over there. Boom, boom. You get to watch me make this. All right, and you guys can take this and you can use it if you would like to. Name of the template is Strangest Wars in History. Category is History. Great description. Max Forge's definitive list of wars that are strange. Dot from stream. www.twitch.tv/max for VC. I spelled Twitch wrong. Fuck. There we go. All right. Twitch.tv/max for VC. Okay. All right. Let's find a cover photo, shall we? We go with crazy emoji. All right. Choose files. All right. Let's see here. Let's show files. All right. So we're going to use a few pictures that we grabbed online here. So let's go through our list once again. We got our first one, which is, let's see here. Sorry, guys. Our first war was the pastry war. So we're going to put a pastry up there. How about that? We're going to put a pastry on here. I'm switching over to tier list. If there's a tier list thing, I think there is. Tier list. Is there not a tier list thing? Oh, damn. Cancel that. Don't worry about it. Tier list 4. We're going to do a tier list for the absurdities of these wars. So the tier list that we're going to do is this one. Hang on. I have it written down here. Give me 1 second. Tier list. Okay, so it's going to be... Hang on 1 second. So it's going to be maximum lunacy. We're going to do gloriously stupid. We're going to do... I'm going to show extra rows. We're going to do I for gore. This is for like the groups that like forgot that they were at war. We're going to do petty but deadly. We're going to do you tried, I guess. And we're gonna do for 6 row, we're gonna do our F tier, which is I don't know, what should we do for F tier? What should we do here, chat? We got Maximum Lunacy, which would be like the most absurd and hilarious ones, like the Emu War, I think. We're gonna do Gloriously Stupid. We're gonna do, which is probably for like, I don't know, like the Stray Dog War, which were like actually like impactful. We're gonna do Oops, We Started a War, or excuse me, I Forgore, which would be like they forgot that they're at war. We're gonna do C tier, which is petty but deadly, which is gonna be like things for like pretty bad, like in terms of casualties. You tried, I guess, which would be like probably the war for the golden stool. And then like F tier would be, I don't know, something else like I don't know, like what do you guys think? Should we even have the F tier? Maybe like I don't know. You tell me. Anybody? Anybody have suggestions? Anybody? Any suggestions? Any suggestions at all? Fishogeny? What are you talking about? F tier for what type of stuff? No thoughts, head empty. F tier for what type of stuff? I don't know, man. I'm just thinking out loud. Like, we should just do like a tier list. Like, which one of these are like super stupid? Which one of these are like just like actually like insane? Like how funny they are. Actually, instead of maximum lunacy, let's do maximum fun. Gloriously stupid, I Forgore, which is going to be people who are not in. They forgot. Petty but deadly is for like stupid wars, and then this one's like you tried, I guess. I think that's good. I think we're good right here. I think we're good. I think we're good right here. So let's choose some files real quick. We're gonna do let's do pastry. We'll make a little pastry thing. Save that image real quick. We'll do what else? What else do we have on here? We got the ear. We'll do an ear. Earl. We got soup kettle. So we'll do like a Campbell's chicken noodle soup thing. That sounds pretty good. Soup. Aviv. No. I don't want an Aviv. I don't want a WebP. Why is every single link on the internet so stupid? All right, we're gonna soup. We're just gonna do soup. It's gonna be tomato soup. I'm sorry, guys. Then we got what else? We got bucket. We gotta do bucket. Bucket. These are good, I think. Yeah, the wood bucket. We got what else? Pig. Don't forget the pig. And then we got doggy, stray dog. Oh, I looked up stray dog and it made me sad. Oh, I feel bad now. Toledo. We're just gonna look up and see what the first fucking thing of Toledo was. We're gonna look up Toledo, Ohio, actually, not Toledo, because Toledo's in Spain. Toledo, Ohio sucks part 2. That's an excellent image. We should use that. What else do we have here? We've got the Emu War, which we could just use an emu, which is easy. Easy peasy, lemon squeezy. We win that one. Emu. We got football war, so we can just have like a soccer ball. Petty but Deadly is already F tier. Real. Football. Okay, and then we'll have... Actually, I'll put some music on for you guys, sorry.
That's right, that's me, damn right. Baby, when it, boy, Jesus Christ, I bet on myself, I up my price, I kiss on a
335-year war, we're like... I don't know, we'll have like a fucking... an old person, an old man. What's that the old man meme? Fucking Gerald or whatever his name is. And we got Battle of Karen Sebes. We'll do like Austria. And we'll do like Zanzibar. And we got the lobsters.
What the fuck is wrong with you?
A little lobster war in here. And then the golden stool. All right. Here we go. I'm going to pull this up now. We're going to pull them all in. All right, we're gonna list these out. Here we go. We'll do this.
Did I really just forget that melody?
I read a history text in a library about a war called the War of the Bucket that said 2 cities fought over a bucket used for a well. That is not true, actually. Pure petty stuff. So the actual war isn't because of the bucket. They just took a bucket afterwards. Well, a lot of people, I was talking about this earlier and you probably didn't hear it, Vashra, but a lot of people claim that it was fought over the bucket, but it wasn't. It was a consequence of them fighting over something else that caused that they become the War of the Bucket. All right, so we got Maximum Fun, which are funny wars that I think are really funny. Gloriously Stupid, which are really dumb, costly wars for no reason. I for Gore means that your war was so forgettable to your people that you don't even remember that you're at war. Petty but Deadly are things that are going to have like a lot of casualties for something that's kind of silly but still like, you know, a thing. And then you tried, I guess, are things that really didn't like end up doing anything in the long run. So first one is the Zanzibar War. This one was pretty petty but deadly, I think. They killed a lot of people. Didn't last too long, but it was something. Toledo sucks. So this is Toledo War. You tried, I guess. There was no like bloodshed on that one. And they traded off some stuff, but really didn't do anything. The War of the Kettle. That one's pretty funny, I think. They shoot a single shot and completely wreck an entire navy. Tell them to go back. Pig War was gloriously stupid. Very dumb. Could have caused a lot more issues. Pastry War, also gloriously stupid, I think. Let's see, this is the 335-year war. That one goes to the I for Gore. And same with the Lihar. I forgot about Lihar. I didn't put Lihar on here, did I? See, I forgot about Lihar, I think, didn't I? I sure did. Damn. Oh, that's how important it is. Lobster War was... I'm debating whether or not Well, it wasn't deadly, so it goes here, right? Let's see what else we got here. Emu War is obviously maximum fun. That's amazing. That's an S tier. Think the Austrians also go up in the S tier. That was pretty funny. They just get drunk and start shooting each other, and then they lose a battle because of it. That was pretty good. Stool is petty but deadly as well, I think. Football War is gloriously stupid. The War of the Ear. War of Jenkins's Ear. How many casualties did that have? I mean, it lasted for a while, though. I don't think it was stupid. I think his ear did get cut off, and he presented it to Congress. I mean, I think it's petty but deadly, probably. But not much changed with it, so I'm like debating whether it's this one or this one. I mean, it's pretty deadly. But was it petty enough? I don't think so. I think... Ugh. Now I gotta keep it here, I think. Stray Dog. War. I think it had enough pretext for it that it made sense that they did it. But the way that it ended was kind of like... stupid. Oh. What was the Pastry War? I wasn't here for that. War of the Leaf. The Pastry War was so what happened in the Pastry War is there was this like Mexican shop owner, or is a French shop owner in Mexico, who his pastry shop got ransacked by the Mexican army, and he demanded recompensation from the Mexican government, and they wouldn't do it because he asked for like a lot of money at the time. But given how much damage was at his shop, I'm not sure if it's actually like over the top amounts, but the number was like 60,000 pesos or something like that, which at the time I guess it was pretty expensive. But given that he got a lot of his stuff stolen and his place got kind of ransacked and he couldn't work for a while, I think it's understandable why he asked for that much. But the Mexican army and the French army end up going to war, and they fight like a small war over that for a while, and then it has like $600,000 end up getting paid to the person in France for war reparations. That was a slide I read coming back. Yeah. Football War was the war between El Salvador and Honduras that they fought after a World Cup qualifier. They played 3 matches and split them 1-1, and then the final match, El Salvador won in overtime. But 2 days prior to that, they had cut off all of their diplomatic relations with the country, and ended up going to war with them afterwards because of their amount of hooliganism that was going on, and also because they were just kind of like talking shit to each other, and it got pretty bad. So very dangerous precedent. But Stray Dog War. Do I want to put that in petty but deadly? I don't think it was that petty. I think it was just like kind of gloriously stupid. I think it was like really stupid. I mean, the guy went off after his dog. He crossed the border. He did probably break the law. He did get shot. He died. The dog, I don't think, was ever found. And then they used it as a pretext for invading the country. I mean, that's pretty stupid to me. Pretty dumb way to die. But do we put Bucket in gloriously stupid or maximum fun? I think the Bucket is a fun thing. I think that the way that it's told is kind of stupid, though. I think the Bucket itself was kind of fun. I think we enjoyed the video, but given that it's a thing about papal investiture, do we put the War of the Wooden Bucket in maximum fun or gloriously stupid? Or do we put it in petty but deadly? Because, I mean, it was pretty petty. No, actually, it wasn't petty. It wasn't petty at all, actually, because there was a reason behind it. I think we got glorious fun. I think it was gloriously funny. Or maximum fun. I think it's maximum fun, in my opinion. Also, you guys can take part of this. You can save this. You can do this. It's free. It's online. I made it myself. Hey, Prof, I missed the bucket lore. You missed the bucket lore? Do you want me to tell you the bucket lore? Jetpack 420. Mr. Man. Actually, JP, are you going to be in the other Discord that we're in here in about 10, 15, 20 minutes? Because I think I'm about to end here. But we're going to be doing something in the other Discord that you and I are both in. Yes, sir? Okay, all right. I'll be in there in a minute. We can talk. Okay, yeah, so we got our maximum fun tier. The funnest stupid wars that we covered today. Kettle War. Emu War. Battle of Canabaris. Or Canarcebus. Whatever, the one where the Austrians got drunk and shot each other. Maximum Forge, thank you. And then the Bucket War. Or War for the Bucket. Gloriously Stupid, the Pig War. Pastry War. Football War. War of the Stray Dog. I for Gore. The War, the Lahar War. And the 335-year war. Petty but Deadly, the Anglo-Zanzibarian War. The War of the Golden Stool, and the War for Jenkins and Zier, which is very funny that all three of these are all British. Very interesting. And then You Tried, I guess, which is the Toledo War and the Lobster War. There you have it, ladies and gentlemen. I think this is going to be a good list to go off of. Haha. Max Forge ranking of silly wars. Save. Download. Alright. And guys, if you want to do this tier list, I think there is a way you can do it. I can share this on Twitter. So I'll share it on my Twitter. You guys can go here and create a strangest words in history tier list. If you guys want to add some, you can add them there. But here's the link if you guys want to do it yourself. Here we go. I'll do this. I'll copy the link for you guys. And if you guys want to go and do it, you can go do it here. If not, though, guys, I think that's going to be it for us today. I appreciate everybody coming. Let me pull myself out of the gutter here. Hang on 1 second. Let me... Is chat back? I think chat is back now, thank goodness. Here we go. And then I should be able to pull this back up here and then pull myself over here. There we go. All right, guys. How did we like that? How did we like the little our little thing that we did there? Was it fun? Did you guys enjoy it? I hope you did. I don't know if we're gonna keep this time or not. We'll see here in a little bit. I'm gonna keep experimenting with times for the next couple of weeks and see how everything is going. I don't know what time you guys get off or what time you guys get up. That's the problem. I don't know if you guys want me to stream later or stream earlier or what days. I'd really like to kind of get like a time nailed down for everybody. So I might just send out, I don't know, if you guys are cool with it, 24/7, 365, thank you. I can't do that. If you guys want me to, I'm going to send out like, I said I was going to do this a few months ago, but I got talked out of it by somebody. I kind of want to just like send you guys out like a little questionnaire and like see if you guys will answer it. Cause I don't know what times you guys are cool with, because I know some of you guys live in Asia, some of you guys are in America, some of you guys are in like Europe, so we got different times and shit like that. But yeah, I don't know, dude. Let me know. Please let me know. If you guys have suggestions, you can feel free to put those in our Discord, so you can join our Discord here if you'd like to. If you'd like to follow me on my socials on social media, you can do that here. outside of that, though, guys, I think we're just kind of chilling for the next little bit. Today's Sunday, obviously, so I'm going to be at work all this week. So be expecting us on Friday, Saturday, Sunday. I don't know when we're going to do it, but we're going to try and do a Lotro stream of Lord of the Rings Online with me and a few others, so that'd be fun. I'll be on Stoic stream earlier on Friday, I think. Or Saturday. I can't remember which day it is. But I'll announce it. I'm probably not going to be streaming it, but I'll be streaming after that. We're still going to be Friday, Saturday, Sunday. We're going to do later streams on Saturday, I think, from now on. And then, yeah, guys, if you guys have anything else or you guys want to tell me to do anything or you guys have suggestions, please feel free to drop your suggestions down in the suggestion box down below. Or go to our Discord and you can put your suggestions in the suggestion box on there. I appreciate everybody for showing up. And let's go find somebody to raid real quick because I have no idea who's on right now. So please feel free not to leave just yet. We're going to find somebody to raid first. And then once we get that going, we will send you guys over to them. Wait, remember the raid message? The raid redeem? Oh, that's right. Yeah. I forgot. Is that person even online, though? Check and see if he's online real quick, Moon. And while you do that, I'm going to look and see if there's another person on. What's the name of the person, though? I can't remember. Amphi! Amphi, what's the name of the person? Amphimetrix! Get your ass in here! That'll keep him in. Pink is games. All right, let's see if they're on. Hang on a second. Let's go Twitch. Let's check and see if they're actually on. If they're not on, they're playing ATS. What is the fuck is ATS? Pink is _ games. Okay, American Truck Simulator? Oh, fuck yeah, dude. Okay, we're gonna go raid them. Alright, so we're gonna raid channel Pink. What is it? At Pink is _ games. Do I just put the name in or do I have to put the @ I can't remember. So that's right. Oh shit, okay, that's not right. Oh, I'm just gonna raid them. Give me a second. P is _ games, okay. Alright, guys, somebody make... No, JP, put the band back on. JP, put the band back on. Do not remove the band. Put the band back on. Put the band back on, JP. What are you doing? What are you doing, JP? Put the band back on. Why did you do that, JP? Don't do that. God bless. That person got banned earlier for a reason, dude. If they have a valid reason, they can send it to you guys, and then you guys can talk to me about it later. But right now, I told them 552 times not to be a piece of shit in the stream, and they've done it every single time that they come in here. I'm not doing that shit with them. I'm not doing that with anybody. It's funny if I'm along with the joke, but if you're gonna be like an actual piece of shit in my stream and then start fucking berating me about yapping in my own fucking stream, I'm a fucking pop you in the fucking mouth with it. And by pop you in the mouth, I mean that in terms of banning you. I already timed them out once. I'm not doing it again, dude. Alright. They have a MILF hat on. Okay. Yeah, no, you're good. Alright. So let's do this. We're just gonna do the raid. We're just gonna do the raid message, right? We're just gonna do that. Who's that guy? It's a person from earlier. I don't wanna get too into it, but random ass person who thinks they can talk to me any type of way or they come to my fucking stream. Alright. So y'all, if y'all are subscribed to the channel, you can go ahead and put this down as your raid. If not, we're just gonna have this right here is your normal raid message for now on, because I realized that that's all you can do. I didn't realize that you couldn't use your other stuff. Have a good night. Take care, Big G. I appreciate you coming, Noxia. Thank you for coming and lurking as always, my friend. Enjoyed the content over there, guys, with Pinkus Gaming, Pinkus Games. We're gonna head out now. I appreciate everybody for coming. Thank you, and please feel free to stay for our raid partner here. As always, guys, you're loved, you're appreciated. I thank you very much for coming out. Love, respect, as always, to you all, and remember, you're all my heroes. I'll miss you guys, and we'll see you on Friday. And remember, you're heroes, guys, you're heroes. Like David Bowie said, we can be heroes just for one day. Right? But you're heroes every day. Thank you very much for coming. I love y'all. Mwah. Bye-bye. Enjoy your raid.